Jiang Fan has drawn the purple thunder, but the heart demon Venerable warns this lightning has been waiting for him. A disappearance haunts the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple, and the ancient giants are descending. Leave a like and subscribe to walk this path. What do you mean by disappearance? Venerable Lianjing said in a deep voice. I don't know, but throughout the ages, those who achieved 6 sections completion in the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple have disappeared from the long river of history. The problem may lie within the holy object. Bang. Jiang Fan glanced at that incomparably brilliant thunderbolt and suddenly felt a chill creeping up his spine. The heart demon Venerable had just said something. This thunder light has been waiting for him. Venerable Lianjing's words were by no means baseless. It's possible that the disappearance of those who achieved 6 sections completion is related to the holy object. Jiang Fan abruptly stopped in his tracks, a tingling sensation prickling his scalp. These extraterrestrial objects, why does each seem more ominous than the last? The Black Lotus of Tribulation, alien power, mysterious ice, and now the holy object of the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple. What's wrong? Heart Demon Venerable noticed Jiang Fan's anomaly and turned back to ask. Jiang Fan started to ponder and said, Venerable, I have a question I wish to ask. How did your sect's yin-yang heaven get lost? Heart Demon Venerable felt slightly surprised, not expecting Jiang Fan to suddenly ask this. He recalled carefully and said, the specific details aren't clearly recorded in the sect's records. Only some vague descriptions, saying it was lost in the hands of the previous venerate. It seems that after he secluded himself for 10 years, he suddenly said he wanted to travel, and before he left, he took the jade scrolls inscribed with the 6 parts from the sect. Upon returning, he said, yin-yang heaven was lost. No one has practiced this part for over a century now, so the content couldn't be reclaimed, and thus it became lost. Why does Jiang Daoyu ask this, secluding for 10 years and suddenly losing it? With the divinity transformation, Venerable's powerful perception, can even something be lost? Jiang Fan looked at the thunder light with an even more cautious gaze. He finally understood that yin-yang heaven wasn't simply lost. The previous venerate had vaguely sensed the hidden dangers of 6 sections completion. So, he deliberately destroyed one section, preventing the heavenly thunder 6 parts from ever reaching perfection, eliminating future threats. And Jiang Fan unknowingly completed all 6 parts and now stands before the holy object. How could he dare to proceed? He decisively said, Venerable, regarding that holy object, please allow me not to approach. Filling the heavenly abyss heart is indeed important, but with catastrophe looming, taking the risk of disappearance is not rational. Heart Demon Venerable was utterly baffled. They've reached the holy object, so why did Jiang Fan suddenly have a change of heart? Jiang Daoyu, are you worried I'm plotting against you? If I had such intentions, I would have long since learned from the Bodhisattva and forcibly brought you to our 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple. He let out a somewhat displeased humph. Jiang Fan made a courtesy bow and said, Venerable, you misunderstand. I'm not worried about you, but rather that holy object. Holy object. Heart Demon Venerable's expression slightly eased as he said, It's merely a mysterious boulder. I wish to ask you to unravel its mystery, let us know what it truly is, and how to utilize the thunder power within. Upon hearing this, Jiang Fan's expression turned even graver as he said, Venerable, don't you find it strange? Why haven't your predecessors who achieved 6 sections completion managed to unravel its mystery? This. Heart Demon Venerable was at a loss for words. Jiang Fan then elaborated further with Venerable Lianjing's analysis. After listening, Heart Demon Venerable was also taken aback. Are you saying that achieving Heavenly Thunder 6 parts perfection is a trap? Jiang Fan nodded slightly. Not certain, but very likely. Heart Demon Venerable's pupils shook and he blurted out. How could that be? The last predecessor who achieved Heavenly Thunder 6 parts perfection. Heart Demon Venerable didn't continue speaking, as if he suddenly realized something. His expression changed dramatically, and then he glanced at the thunder light, unexpectedly revealing a trace of terror. He even staggered back a few steps. Jiang Fan asked in confusion, Venerable, what's happening to you? Heart Demon Venerable's lips quivered slightly, with a hint of fear in his eyes. I can't remember the name of the last predecessor who practiced Heavenly Thunder 6 parts. Not just him, I can't recall any of those who achieved perfection in the past. Those who mastered the Heavenly Thunder 6 parts to perfection were all divinity transformation venerates through the ages. Each one was a significant figure in the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple. Being the contemporary venerate, I have paid homage to them every few years. How could I forget their names? But he suddenly realized that somehow he had forgotten them all. Upon hearing this, the hall master and the elders present were all taken aback. They immediately fell into deep thought. Soon, they all showed expressions of surprise. I forgot too. Why can't I remember any of them either? Something's not right. Why can't I recall a single one? Wait a moment, I have a register of the predecessors with their life records. The hall master, the Qiang Tower master, suddenly realized and quickly pulled out a thick book from the space storage device. He hurriedly opened the catalog, mumbling, Our 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple had 30 venerate throughout the ages, each recorded clearly. However, he suddenly froze in place, staring at the catalog in bewilderment. Everyone looked on with goosebumps rising. Among the 30 entries in the catalog, 6 of them had turned into a blank space. When flipping to the pages corresponding to the catalog, what should have been filled with words was also entirely blank. Jiang Fan gasped, secretly communicating, Godmother, did you see that? Those who achieved 6 sections completion not only had their names forgotten, but even the records in the history books turned into blank. This has surpassed the removal of memory, hasn't it? What made Jiang Fan's hair stand on end was, Venerable Lianjing was silent for a while before speaking in a peculiar tone. What disappeared people who achieved 6 sections completion? Jiang Fan was taken aback and said, Didn't Godmother just say that those who achieved 6 sections completion have all disappeared afterward? Venerable Lianjing scoffed. How much fake wine did you drink, spouting nonsense? When did I say those things? Even Venerable Lianjing's memory was altered. She can't remember what she said either. She's still a great venerate of the heavenly human 5 declines. Jiang Fan felt his entire body's hair stand on end, immediately looking towards Heart Demon Venerable, saying, Venerable, that holy object is eavesdropping on us. It's altering our memories. The expression on Heart Demon Venerable's face had somehow calmed down. Hearing this, he looked at Jiang Fan with a bizarre expression. What are you saying? What memories of mine are being altered? Qiang Tower Master, the Dean, and the 6 Parts Master all looked at Jiang Fan, utterly bewildered. Hiss. Jiang Fan's scalp tingled as he quickly snatched the register from Qiang Tower Master, saying, See for yourselves. Your venerate through the ages missing a whole 6. Heart Demon Venerable said with a strange expression. Where is it missing? Isn't it 24 in total? What? Jiang Fan hurriedly looked at the register, his pupils widening in shock. The erased, turned blank directory and related pages, all vanished, as if they never existed. Temple, who had perfected their cultivation of the 6 parts. Not only were their memories erased, but even the traces of their existence in the world were bizarrely obliterated. And it was happening right now. Apart from Jiang Fan, no one in the world remembers they existed. What's more terrifying is that it all happened right before his eyes. Jiang Fan, are you all right? Why are you suddenly acting so strangely? Venerable Lianjing asked, looking at him worriedly. Jiang Fan opened his mouth but couldn't find a way to explain. The 6 people, even their traces in the history books, were forcibly erased. Who would believe him even if he spoke? Taking a deep breath, Jiang Fan said, I'm fine, Godmother. Venerable Lianjing nodded slightly. Then let's hurry over. The holy object of the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple is not simple. Jiang Fan forced himself to stay calm and said, Godmother, I don't want to go. What erased the traces of the 6 people is it even necessary to say? The holy object? It sensed its exposure, so it changed everything on the spot. Its means are simply terrifying. Even with its heavenly opportunities, Jiang Fan doesn't want to get close in the slightest. Venerable Lianjing paused, wondering why Jiang Fan suddenly changed his mind. However, she still supported Jiang Fan without hesitation. All right, do as you please. Heart Demon Venerable quickly tried to persuade. Jiang Daoyu, that holy object is waiting for you to solve its mystery. Jiang Fan said sternly. Venerate, stop trying to solve the mystery of the holy object. It is certainly not benevolent. With these words, Jiang Fan glanced at Venerable Lianjing and said, Godmother, we must leave quickly, let's not linger. Venerable Lianjing sensed the urgency in Jiang Fan's tone. Although she didn't understand why, she still trusted Jiang Fan unconditionally. She placed a hand on his shoulder, ready to teleport away with him. But at this moment, a sudden change occurred. The thunder light connecting heaven and earth suddenly burst open, transforming into countless thunderbolts. They converged over the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple, forming a 10,000 square thunder pool. This scene made everyone in the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple extremely shocked. It was the first time they had ever seen the holy object react this way. However, Jiang Fan's pupils contracted violently. That 10,000 square thunder pool, he was incredibly familiar with it. This scene only appeared when the six parts united. Sure enough, the 10,000 square thunder pool centered on Jiang Fan and poured down vigorously. They surrounded Jiang Fan, coalescing into a 10-foot-tall thunder giant. Above its head was the yin-yang diagram. Its eyes contained thunder arcs. Its chest housed a 5-colored thunder heart. It held a thunder sword in one hand, had a lotus flower underfoot, and a dragon circled behind. Even on the back of its head, there was a divine ring from the divinity transformation realm. The six parts united and forcibly activated. Jiang Fan felt things weren't right and urgently called, "Godmother," but before Venerable Lianjing could react. The 10-foot thunder giant wrapped around Jiang Fan and disappeared on the spot. When he reappeared, Jiang Fan was standing in front of a massive ancient stone cone. It was enveloped by destructive 9-colored thunderbolts. Needless to say, Jiang Fan guessed that this was the holy object of the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple. Jiang Fan's heart leaped to his throat. This holy object is definitely alive. The thunder giant didn't stop, taking a step forward, dragging Jiang Fan to crash into the stone cone. Jiang Fan tried to struggle, but it was useless. Who could have expected that training to the end of the Heavenly Thunder 6 parts would be a shackle under someone's control? That's why none of the former cultivators who perfected the Heavenly Thunder 6 parts could escape the doom. He closed his eyes, bracing himself for the pain of hitting the stone cone. But unexpectedly, the moment he collided with the stone cone, a surge of space power emerged around it, swallowing him into the stone cone's interior. A broken space came into view. The sky that should have been azure was a dull gray, with several cracks and even a few large black holes. The earth burned with raging flames, thick with fiery blaze, the ground strewn with countless corpses. They were peculiar, all dressed in white and gold armor, their bodies emanating a sacred aura. Most strikingly, they all had wings on their backs that changed colors. This scene was so familiar to Jiang Fan. In Hua Xin's residual memories, there were mysterious beings with 9 pairs of wings. And these beings were the original inhabitants of the heavenly realm, also known as the angel race. Jiang Fan's mind buzzed. The inside of the holy object of the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple was actually a remnant ancient battlefield space. Moreover, it was a battle scene of the angel race. The successive venerables of the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple probably never imagined that the so-called holy object from beyond the heavens was actually a battlefield. Smoke lingered. Jiang Fan solemnly surveyed his surroundings and suddenly saw a towering stone stele through the thick smoke. The thunder giant controlled Jiang Fan to walk toward the stone stele. The closer he got to the stele, the more angel clan corpses he encountered, with more wings indicating greater strength. Could it be that the angel clan fought the war to seize the stone stele? Jiang Fan pondered as he was led by the thunder giant to the front of the stone stele. It was a 100-foot stone stele, glowing softly with a sacred light. The material of which it was made was unknown, but its spiritual pressure surpassed anything Jiang Fan had ever seen, including the so-called world artifact, the Hell Hooking Pen. Before the stone stele, corpses were piled up like mountains. Among them, Jiang Fan even saw an exquisitely beautiful 8-winged angel. Her expression was gentle, her skin was ruby-tinted white, and her lashes fluttered lightly in the wind. As if she were only asleep. Jiang Fan's pupils narrowed. An 8-winged angel should be a presence comparable to a sage in the heavenly realm, right? Yet such a presence also perished in the struggle for the stone stele. What exactly is this stone stele? He looked up and found densely packed characters carved on the stele. They were very similar to the mysterious characters visible in the previous thunder light beam. These should be the characters of the angel clan, right? Jiang Fan realized. Initially, he was very apprehensive, but being forcibly brought to the stele, he instead calmed down. If the stone cone wanted his life, it would have acted already. Why bother bringing him here? Hundreds of years, finally a living person again. A rough and deep voice, as if coming from a grave, spoke unexpectedly. Jiang Fan looked in the direction of the voice. On top of the stone stele sat 7 people. Among them, 6 were decayed, severely reduced to dust, barely maintaining human shape. The slightly better ones were only left with a dark jade-colored skeleton. These remnants implied they were once divinity transformation venerables, standing above all beings. Their identities were self-evident. The missing 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple predecessors, who perfected the cultivation of the heavenly thunder 6 parts. They indeed entered the stone cone and then became part of this place. However, why are there 7 corpses? Suddenly, Jiang Fan's pupils constricted as he noticed the central corpse slowly standing up. It was a figure draped in a white robe, now only left with bones. Its skull had been pierced from front to back by an intangible, terrifying force, leaving a passage through the bones. But inside the skull, a thumb-sized soul flame was gently flickering. Jiang Fan's pupils trembled. There was actually a living creature on the battlefield. Is he the one who has been plotting for thousands of years, using the heavenly thunder 6 parts as a trap from the shadows? What exactly is he scheming? It's truly rare that you retained your memory. The skeleton looked down condescendingly at Jiang Fan. You must have a great cause and effect on you, but unfortunately I am a mere remnant and cannot see through it. Jiang Fan stared at him and snorted. Who are you? Swoosh, the space in front of Jiang Fan rippled like a lake stirred by the wind. The white-robed skeleton suddenly materialized before him. Those dark eye sockets were chilling to behold. He spoke with a deep, grating voice. Who I am doesn't matter. What's important is how high your comprehension is. Comprehension. Jiang Fan pondered secretly. Could it be that the white-robed skeleton released the heavenly thunder 6 parts to select the most talented prodigies? The difficulty of mastering the heavenly thunder 6 parts lies in comprehending the cultivation technique and mustering enough thunder power. Martial artists of the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple didn't lack thunder power, but those who achieved perfection in the 6 parts were few even over millennia. This shows how difficult it is to comprehend, no less challenging than a genuine heaven-level technique. But why does the white-robed skeleton need someone's comprehension? Suddenly, he glanced up at the Angel Clan language on the stone stele, and then at the mound of Angel Clan corpses surrounding it. Realization dawned on him. Could the inscriptions on the stone stele be a kind of cultivation technique, requiring someone with extremely high comprehension to fathom it? How many years have you been cultivating the heavenly thunder 6 parts? The white-robed skeleton's greenish spirit flickered slightly within his skull. Jiang Fan's eyes shifted, and he replied, About 10 years, I suppose. The actual time was closer to half a year. However, how could he fully reveal himself to this clearly malevolent white-robed skeleton? 10 years, the white-robed skeleton nodded slowly. In my angel clan, that would be regarded as unparalleled talent. Compared to them, you are far superior by unknown multiples. He pointed to the stone stele. You must have recognized the angel clan language by now, right? Jiang Fan raised an eyebrow. What makes you say that? Because the heavenly realm was occupied by ancient giants, the angel race had disappeared for tens of thousands of years. Their culture had long been severed. Where in Central Earth could you find angel race language? Isn't it rare enough to know the hell language? The white-robed skeleton said hoarsely, Isn't there an angel clan member by your side? Did she not teach you the angel clan language? Jiang Fan's pupils contracted. I have an angel clan around me. The white-robed skeleton calmly stated, You carry such a strong angel clan aura, it must be from being with the angel clan for a long time. Jiang Fan was thunderstruck. He had an angel clan by his side, yet he was completely unaware. How was that possible? Suddenly, a quiet and reserved girl who would smile whenever she saw him emerged in Jiang Fan's mind. Xia Caoj. He remembered Xia Caoj once wanted to give him a feather, but he had refused. At the time, Jiang Fan hadn't thought the feather had any special significance. In hindsight, wasn't that feather a unique feature of the angel clan? Additionally, Xia Caoj also had the yin-yang heaven from the heavenly thunder 6 parts, indicating she had a connection with the white-robed skeleton who used the heavenly thunder 6 parts. Thus, Xia Caoj's identity became apparent. She was of the angel clan. Jiang Fan staggered, overwhelmed with dizziness. How could it be? Xia Caoj, who walked with him out of the 9-sect land on the continent, was of the angel clan. Why would she be in Central Earth, and on an obscure continent? The white-robed skeleton said flatly, I must thank her. She completed the heavenly thunder 6 parts, enabling you to reach me. With you here, my wish can finally be fulfilled. He raised a bony finger, where a faint glimmer of light formed at the tip, flicking it into Jiang Fan's mind. Jiang Fan wanted to evade, but the thunderbolt giant bound him, rendering him immobile. The light entered his mind like a cold blade, forcefully piercing deep into his soul. A paroxysm of agony overwhelmed him. The white-robed skeleton stated calmly, This is the angel clan's language and script. With your comprehension, you should be able to assimilate it in a day. Having said that, his figure flickered back to the peak of the stone stele, sitting cross-legged in meditation. Jiang Fan was immobilized at the spot by the thunderbolt giant, unable to move an inch. Knowing it was the Angel Clan language, Jiang Fan felt a tinge of excitement. Could he possibly learn the Angel Clan language as a bonus? How could he refuse? He immediately endured the excruciating pain and absorbed the strand of light. Merely a 2-hour period later, Jiang Fan's eyes were filled with comprehension. Is this the angel script? The mysterious words in the thunderbolt beams earlier, they mean Thunder God Heavenly Palace. Thunder God Heavenly Palace. Is it referring to this space? Doesn't that name sound a bit grandiose? Could there really be such a thing as a thunder god? However, that's not what's important right now. It's the stone stele in front of him. Jiang Fan cautiously glanced at the white-robed skeleton and noticed him sitting cross-legged in deep meditation. He immediately turned his attention to the angel engravings on the stone stele. Thunder God Heavenly Palace's control scripture. Upon successful cultivation, one can control the Thunder God Heavenly Palace, becoming the master of the palace, traversing heaven and earth, achieving immortality. Jiang Fan was baffled. Traversing heaven and earth, achieving immortality. If one were immortal, why would the Thunder God's palace fall here? Moreover, is there really such a thing as a thunder god? Nonetheless, the crucial information caught Jiang Fan's attention. That is, if he mastered the cultivation technique, he could control the heavenly palace, which means becoming the master of this space. Could this mean he could escape this place and no longer be under the threat of the white-robed skeleton? At this thought, his heart raced, and he began to silently memorize the control scripture. Then he closed his eyes and delved into contemplation. This skeletal figure would soon have a surprise. The white-robed skeleton was also observing Jiang Fan, pondering silently. After thousands of years, the Thunder Dao immortal skill hidden here is finally about to see the light again. Great Heavenly Realm Master, the debt from that year I'll soon settle with you. Outside, Venerable Lianjing forcibly breached the 9-colored thunderbolt, trying to storm into the stone cone. Great Venerate, please hold your hand, Heart Demon Venerable urged. Don't be rash. That 9-colored thunderbolt is not something a divinity transformation venerable can withstand. You'll be obliterated without a trace. If the stone cone were so easy to penetrate, would the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple have spent thousands of years unraveling its mystery? Would they have paid the price to seek the aid of a great venerate if it could have been resolved sooner? The 9-colored thunderbolt is certainly not something the divinity transformation realm can withstand. Venerable Lianjing did not speak, casting domains and mirrors to divert the 9-colored thunderbolt. Using a powerful cultivation technique, wielding the might of the ultimate venerable realm, she carved out a path. Yet, as the Heart Demon Venerable said, the 9-colored thunderbolt was too domineering, beyond her ability to endure. Just as she was about to touch the stone cone, a torrent of 9-colored thunderbolt 10 times more powerful than outside surged forth. Like a flood, it annihilated those who dared to offend. 9-colored thunderbolt surged out like a sea of fire in all directions. In the terrifying roar of thunder, all things turned to powder under the 9-colored thunderbolt. A third of the 100-mile mountain range disappeared instantly, leaving behind a vast space densely filled with black void cracks. At a glance, it looked like a beast's skin stretched to its limits. Heart Demon Venerable's clothes were completely destroyed, flesh and blood blurred as he fell out of instantaneous movement, crashing heavily to the ground. His limbs turned to charcoal, and his eyes were burnt into 2 blood holes. The divine ring at the back of his head shattered so severely that only one corner remained. Away from the stone cone, the Heart Demon Venerable couldn't even escape without facing a near-death fate. However, those who touched the stone cone closely and offended the forbidden Venerable Lianjing suffered a destruction over 10 times more severe. Even she, facing the heavenly human 5 declines, found survival difficult. However, Venerable Lianjing did not suffer too heavy an injury. Blood flowed from the corners of her mouth, her body scorched. Even the divine ring of heavenly human 5 declines became dull and dim with its 5 flame marks. About to be extinguished, beside her a young man appeared, standing with hands behind his back. He had a handsome appearance, his gaze cold and unfeeling. Terror surrounded him like thunder breath. Those surging 9-colored thunderbolt flowed like a flood towards the youth, but bypassed him of their own accord, not harming him in the slightest. He was none other than the young emperor. If not for his intervention, Venerable Lianjing would have faced devastation even if not annihilated. But it was also due to Venerable Lianjing's stubbornness to break into the stone cone without evading. Otherwise, if the heart demon Venerable could use instantaneous movement for safety, how could she not escape as a great venerate? Fenger! Venerable Lianjing was shocked and immediately understood, asked urgently, "You came earlier." How could the young emperor arrive so timely from the young emperor mountain just when she was in mortal danger? Only one explanation existed. The young emperor had already been here watching nearby. "Why did you come?" Venerable Lianjing asked solemnly, though she already had the answer. The young emperor said indifferently, to fulfill a promise to kill him. He once gave Jiang Fan a choice, to abolish his void flow thunder force within 10 days. Today marked the end of those 10 days. After a pause, the young emperor looked at the stone cone before him, said lightly, "It seems unnecessary for me to act. Even my father dared not covet this thing, yet he was taken in," implying that Jiang Fan was doomed. Venerable Lianjing's figure wobbled, her complexion turning pale rapidly. What exactly is this? Even he dared not covet it," the young emperor replied mildly, "something older than the heavenly realm and hell. No one who gains it meets a good end. The last one who died by its hand was its master, a boundary master of the heavenly realm," Venerable Lianjing gasped. "Central Earth's existence spans only 10,000 years. But the heavenly realm and hell are not, their existence cannot be measured in time. Maybe 20,000 years, perhaps 100,000, or even longer. The stone cone before her, older than the heavenly realm and hell. What on earth is it? Moreover, it devours its master, killing even the boundary master of the heavenly realm, equivalent to the ancient saint of Central Earth. Doesn't this mean Jiang Fan faces bleak prospects?" Venerable Lianjing was overwhelmed by sadness. Jiang Fan fought valiantly against ancient giants, hoping to protect his loved ones, safeguard Central Earth's creatures, yet ultimately fell before the ancient giants arrived. He surely was unwilling. Watching the calmed nine-colored thunderbolt, she slightly closed her eyes, stepped forward. The young emperor said indifferently, "Do you wish to die?" Venerable Lianjing didn't turn back, said calmly, "I promised to protect him, but I failed. I must go and see if he lives. I'll do all I can to save him. If he's dead, then I will stay inside with him." Jiang Fan called her godmother, gave her the heavenly human 5 declines chance, gifted her merit. Yet she couldn't even protect Jiang Fan. No one knew how guilty she felt in her heart. The young emperor expressionlessly said, "You truly care about him. But why deceive yourself? He is already dead. With a weapon that can kill a boundary master, how could Jiang Fan survive alone?" Venerable Lianjing's lips quivered, cried painfully, "Then let me go with him." The young emperor said coldly, "If he lives, he would hope you kill more ancient giants on his behalf, not to die meaninglessly." After speaking, he paid no heed to Venerable Lianjing, turned and strode away. Venerable Lianjing halted abruptly, her eyes slowly opened. The sadness in her eyes grew deeper. How could she not know that dying was meaningless? She just couldn't forgive herself for failing to protect Jiang Fan. Staring at the stone cone, Venerable Lianjing's eyes welled with tears, blurring her vision. In her haze, she seemed to see that sly figure making her fly into a rage, yet courageous enough to earn her admiration and warm enough to touch her deeply. Fanner, Venerable Lianjing couldn't hold back her emotions anymore, tears flowed like rain. She held her chest, pressed down the aching heart, wept. "Godmother will first kill all ancient giants for you, then come to you." Wiping her tears, she resolutely turned away, dared not look at the stone cone again. She approached the heart demon Venerable, looking at the already ruined divinity transformation Venerable. Without hesitation, she took out a jade scroll and threw it on the heart demon Venerable. Then her eyes flashed with a fierce light as she struck him with a palm. PFF. How could the heart demon Venerable withstand a great venerate's strike? With a shriek, the heart demon Venerable's body was instantly destroyed, dying on the spot. The 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple members in the distance were caught off guard, exclaiming in unison, "Venerate!" The Qiang Tower master shouted in grief. "Why did you kill our Venerable?" Sanqian Shangren said complexly. "Are you avenging Jiang Fan?" If not for the Venerable inviting Jiang Fan over, this dire situation wouldn't have happened. Jiang Fan's downfall, they couldn't absolve themselves. "I wanted to kill him, but Fanner surely wouldn't want that. Why would he wish to see even fewer venerates in Taikang state?" Venerable Lianjing's face could not hide the sorrow, as her words ended. The body of the heart demon Venerable, pulverized into a blood mist, suddenly gathered again centered on the jade scroll. The destroyed limbs regenerated, eyes restored. Most importantly, the shattered domain reformed. This was precisely the young emperor's domain, seemingly revived, but actually a subtle original possession domain. As the heart demon Venerable recovered, he opened his eyes confusedly. Upon careful examination, he showed a bitter expression, bowed to Venerable Lianjing. "Thank you, great Venerate, for helping." Venerable Lianjing said coldly, "Do you not resent me for ruining your chance to possess and be reborn?" The heart demon Venerable quickly bowed. "Great Venerate must be joking. In my current state, facing the ancient giant calamity 3 days from now, only certain death awaits. By then, where would my soul go to possess, ultimately becoming food in an ancient giant's mouth?" The heart demon Venerable could discern right from wrong. Venerable Lianjing coldly stared at him, touched her finger to his brow, then touched it to a jade scroll, threw it to him. The heart demon Venerable was astounded. This was Venerable Lianjing's domain. She actually gifted it to him. Unexpectedly, Venerable Lianjing said, "Don't overthink. It's not left for you." Demon Venerable awkwardly forced a smile. He thought to himself that Venerable Lianjing, not bearing a grudge against him for causing Jiang Fan's death, was already quite generous. Why would she gift him an invaluable domain? Who is the great Venerate planning to leave it to? Venerable Lianjing turned to look at the stone cone, her eyes filled with sorrow. If Jiang Fan were alive, it would be handed to him. If there is no news from him before the ancient giants descend, then send it to the heavenly mechanism pavilion to be given to the person most important to him. This was her small compensation to Jiang Fan's family. The heart demon Venerable silently sighed in his heart. What chance was there for Jiang Fan's return? He clasped his hands and said, "Yes, great Venerate, do you have any other instructions?" Venerable Lianjing lifted her head to gaze towards the boundless sky, closing her eyes for a long while before letting out a long sigh. "Taikang State is indeed a place of heartbreak for me. It is now, and it was before." In the next moment she disappeared from where she stood, leaving only her voice lingering in the air, echoing for a long time. The heart demon Venerable showed a look of surprise. Did Venerable Lianjing once have regrets left in Taikang State? Shaking his head, he looked at the devastated mountain range, a third of which was destroyed, leaving a shocking sight. Then looking at the stone cone, he couldn't help but clench the jade talisman, sighing, "Jiang Daoyu, it was I who caused you harm." In the utmost west of Taikang State, a group trudged across this desolate land. At the forefront was an elegant middle-aged man, none other than the Jiangshan first-class building owner. They were carrying a crystal coffin. From inside the coffin, a powerful, vast energy intermittently surged out. Suddenly, the building owner stopped, sharply raising his head to gaze into the distance. His composed and serene face showed a hint of undisclosed emotion. "Building owner, what's the matter?" a deputy building owner behind him asked, slightly surprised. The building owner remained silent for a long while before smiling with relief. "An old friend has come by. Let's go, this will be my last transaction. Starting today, our Jiangshan first-class building will also begin to prepare for the battle against the ancient giants." 1 day later, inside the stone cone, Jiang Fan slowly opened his eyes, weariness clouding his gaze. He thought he had remarkable comprehension, that mastering a heaven-level technique would come effortlessly, taking at most half a day to comprehend one. However, when faced with the control texts of the Thunder God Heavenly Palace, he found it unusually difficult. After an entire day, he had only grasped a mere superficial understanding. While the control texts were not particularly long, an indefinable obscurity seemed to obscure his understanding as he tried to comprehend them. This caused Jiang Fan to start doubting his own comprehension abilities. If the text could be divided into the stages of entry, small success, great success, and perfection, he hadn't even reached the entry level. The only solace was that the superficial understanding he had grasped just happened to be the ability to freely enter and exit this space. As long as he wished, he could exit the stone cone at any moment. But the question is, would it be safe once he exits? The Thunder God six-part technique he cultivated could any time take control of him again, forcibly bringing him back here. What should he do then? At this moment, the white-robed skeleton moved, its hollow eyes casting a gaze, and it said, "How goes your study of the angel tribe texts?" Jiang Fan's heart skipped a beat. This fearsome being had woken. Suppressing the turmoil in his heart, Jiang Fan's eyes turned, and he said, "I've only comprehended 90%. The white-robed skeleton's eyes were deep, blandly stating, 90%. You are so clever, it should have occurred to you that fully comprehending the angel tribe texts would make it even more impossible for you to leave." Either you remain trapped here for life, deciphering the inscriptions on the stele, or you decipher them and then be silenced by me. Therefore, your 90% cannot be the truth. If I'm not mistaken, you've already fully comprehended the angel tribe texts, and you've thoroughly understood them long ago. Jiang Fan was secretly astonished. These ancient beings who lived countless years indeed possessed fathomless minds, difficult to deceive. He let his expression darken slightly, admitting frankly, "Yes, I did fully comprehend them. But aren't you afraid that I might tamper with the inscriptions if you force me to decipher them?" The white-robed skeleton's voice was hoarse, harsh, and difficult to listen to, as if mocking. "Do you not think that the few venerables by my side are all willingly assisting me in deciphering the inscriptions?" There was no doubt that among the 6 ancestors of the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple, there were certainly a few who were persistent, or those who relied on their comprehension to confront the white-robed skeleton. But judging from their meditative postures, eventually, they all complied. Such an ancient monster could effortlessly torment a person. Jiang Fan smiled, also showing a hint of mockery. "As someone who is about to die, should I fear your torment?" The white-robed skeleton blandly responded. "Someone about to die? Do you truly understand your own fate? Rest assured, if I don't let you die, nobody in this world can kill you." Jiang Fan chuckled silently, his eyes filled only with mockery. The heavenly mechanism elder once said, even ancient saints couldn't alter Jiang Fan's fate of imminent death. The white-robed skeleton noticed Jiang Fan's mocking expression. After a moment of silence, the soul within its skull began to ripple, seemingly probing Jiang Fan. After several breaths, its soul fire surged, and its previously meditative body abruptly sat upright, a chilling voice carrying a touch of disturbance. "This truly is a fate of imminent death. Moreover, it's woven from multiple significant causes and effects, some of which I dare not entangle myself with. Young one, you do indeed have a remarkable background." Jiang Fan's eyes revealed contemplation. This person seemed to perceive things more clearly than the heavenly mechanism elder, as if seeing through some of the so-called causes and effects. What exactly was the cause and effect that destined him to die? Who else was involved in this cause and effect? If he could know beforehand and then avoid those people, would destiny perhaps take a turn? As he pondered, the white-bones skeleton blandly remarked, "It seems indeed I cannot compel you. In that case, let's make a deal." In its perception, Jiang Fan had little life remaining. Even if he tormented Jiang Fan could forcibly endure until the day of his death. It could only entice him with benefits, and this was exactly what Jiang Fan desired. His eyes gleamed with sharpness, and he asked, "What can you offer me, senior?" The white-robed skeleton said, "I can offer you a way to live. Decipher the inscriptions, and I will make an exception and let you go." Jiang Fan snorted dismissively. "These inscriptions are so profound, once I'm done deciphering them, I fear I won't have many days to live either. Whether you let me go or not, what difference does it make?" The white-robed skeleton blandly asked. "Then what do you want?" Jiang Fan clasped his hands, saying, "Senior, the ancient giants are about to descend. I may die, but I wish to secure a glimmer of hope for the beings of Central Earth. I humbly request you to bestow a divine power treasure to aid us in slaying the ancient giants." The white-robed skeleton calmly replied, "Ancient giants, those dark beings that feed on humans, 10,000 years ago, they hadn't even existed in this world." He had long heard the 6 venerables mention that every millennia a catastrophe of ancient giants would erupt. They embody greed, brutality, cunning, and insidiousness, all negative emotions. They seem to be creatures created by humans. Jiang Fan's expression shifted slightly. Created by humans. Saints dare not speak. Can they create living beings? Could beings like the ancient giants with such ferocity have been created? Jiang Fan harbored doubts about this. Moreover, the main concern now is not the origin of the ancient giants. "Senior, do you possess a divine power treasure to deal with them?" Jiang Fan asked. The white-robed skeleton said disdainfully, "A bunch of shadowy beings, are they worth using a divine power treasure on?" He raised a bone claw and grabbed at the void. Instantly, the atmosphere within the space became agitated, and thunder arcs of 9 colors gathered from the void into his palm. Thousands of thunder arcs gathered and compressed. Finally, they became a thumb-sized, 9-colored crystal stone. "Take it," the white-robed skeleton casually threw it. Jiang Fan grasped it with space power, not daring to approach. Even from a distance, he could feel the earth-shattering power contained within the 9-colored crystal stone. This was comparable to the sky-covering demon palm that the Asura saint's son had used to chase them in the void. He couldn't help but feel parched and said, "Could this be a sage's strike?" The white-robed skeleton chuckled. "Sage. There are few sages in Central Earth who can withstand a strike from a 9-colored crystal stone. Of course, the effectiveness of any killing device depends on the user. You can't imagine killing a sage. A killing knife in the hands of a 3-year-old and an adult has different lethality. If a sage wields the 9-colored crystal stone, it would naturally unleash its true power. But Jiang Fan, he probably wouldn't even have the chance to wield it before being instantly slain by a sage. However, Jiang Fan didn't plan to use it against a sage. He prepared it as a stunning gift for the ancient giants. He took out a separate space storage device, placed the 9-colored crystal stone inside, and excitedly accepted it, bowing. "Thank you, Senior," the white-robed skeleton said. "The transaction is complete. Focus on comprehending the control scriptures. Once accomplished, I'll give you another grand gift." Oh. Jiang Fan's eyes shifted as he said, "Could Senior reveal a bit to motivate me?" He was about to leave and couldn't wait to finish comprehending the scriptures. The white-robed skeleton indifferently said, "It's about the angel clan member beside you. She has significant connections. She possesses great fortunes, and I can guide you to steal her opportunities for your own use." It was referring to Xianxia. As for the great opportunities present with her, Jiang Fan had sensed them long ago. It seemed that as Xianxia's realm progressed, she would mysteriously master new techniques and obtain new treasures. For instance, someone who had never excelled in the sword Dao suddenly became proficient in swordsmanship one day. The long-lost yin-yang heaven suddenly appeared in her hands, and the life-saving feather she once gifted to him she had never had before. But Jiang Fan had no intention of claiming Xianxia's fortunes. He appeared enthusiastic and said, "If she can produce yin-yang heaven, she must have even greater treasures. I will immediately comprehend the scriptures for you." The white-robed skeleton stared at Jiang Fan. Internally, a trace of disdain flashed. A greedy person would betray even friends. "That 9-colored crystal stone, keep it for now," implying that after the deed, he would kill Jiang Fan to retrieve the 9-colored crystal stone. However, as Jiang Fan was preparing to comprehend, he suddenly spoke again. "Senior." He pointed to the thunder giant enveloping him and said, "Can you release the restraint first? Comprehending the scriptures isn't achieved in a day or night. It's not ideal being trapped like this, right?" The white-robed skeleton didn't hesitate, and with a thought, the thunder giant collapsed, dispersing as arcs of lightning scattered. Jiang Fan's eyes flashed and quickly activated the heavenly abyss heart, absorbing as much of the roaming thunder arcs as possible. These were valuable, and he couldn't let them go to waste. Moments later, he absorbed 30% of the thunder power, while the rest dispersed and disappeared. This 30% was comparable to the thunderbolt given to him by the heart demon Venerable before. With another 40% of thunder power, the heavenly abyss heart could be filled. Jiang Fan showed satisfaction, then bowed and said, "Senior indeed has great means." Releasing a part of the ensnaring heavenly thunder 6 parts, controls the world's thunder path prodigies who have comprehension. Cultivators wouldn't realize until the last moment. Could Senior reveal how this is achieved? The white-robed skeleton was somewhat impatient and said, "The heavenly thunder 6 parts is an important slave-controlled domain of the angel clan. Once cultivated, one is lifetime subjugated by it. Don't think you can escape it." Heavenly thunder 6 parts was actually a domain. Jiang Fan's pupils trembled. He had considered many possibilities, but hadn't imagined that this high-level, earth-level technique was a domain. The white-robed skeleton indifferently said, "Otherwise, how could an earth-level technique temporarily boost someone's cultivation to the divinity transformation realm? Every section of heavenly thunder 6 parts you comprehend is feeling the domain. Once all 6 parts are comprehended, a domain is planted within. Later, encountering powerful angel clan members, they can use it to control you." Jiang Fan was utterly stunned. This was the true nature of the heavenly thunder 6 parts. No wonder even the heaven-level technique, Dayan Sword Array, hadn't empowered him to temporarily elevate his cultivation to divinity transformation realm. Instead, the high-level, earth-level, heavenly thunder 6 parts achieved it. It turned out to contain the domain of powerful angels. The methods of the angel clan are truly indefensible, silently erasing memories, removing traces of existence, also skillfully planting domains in the body, enslaving it for life. Mysterious and eerie. Enough, now focus on comprehending the script. If you wish to help Taikang State resist the ancient giants, don't waste time." Jiang Fan nodded and cupped his fists, saying, "Yes, Senior." Also, thanks for your assistance, Senior. I will remember this. Until we meet again. Upon hearing, thank you, Senior, the white-robed skeleton sensed something amiss. When hearing, until we meet again, he had a foreboding feeling. The next moment, Jiang Fan initiated a thought, silently reciting the Angel Clan inscription. Exit. With one word, he vanished from the stone cone space. The white-robed skeleton froze, then in 3 breaths he regained composure, suddenly standing up with an incredulous exclamation. He already understood the control scriptures. When? His soul flame flickered fiercely, full of astonishment. Based on his assessment of Jiang Fan's comprehension, it would take at least a year to grasp the basics of control inscriptions. But Jiang Fan had only been here a day. He suddenly realized Jiang Fan had lied. He lied from the start. Jiang Fan definitely hadn't spent 10 years learning the Heavenly Thunder 6 parts. Most likely, he only took a year. No, not even a year. Thus, he could understand in one day what usually takes a year. Tricking me? The white-robed skeleton's voice became chilling. You think you can escape? Value outside world. At a distance of 100 zhang from the stone cone, Jiang Fan stumbled and fell out of the sky. Ignoring his posture, he immediately activated Cloud Shadow. With a tearing sound, a thunder dragon swiftly arrived, carrying him towards the distance. However, midway, the thunder dragon suddenly twisted and rolled. Then, with a bang, it exploded into a sky full of thunder light. Jiang Fan felt a chill in his heart. The white-robed skeleton is controlling the Heavenly Thunder 6 parts. Soon after, a huge lightning burst out of the stone cone, rapidly condensing into a sea of thunder above Jiang Fan's head. Then it fell around him, gathering into a thunder giant. The previous scene was about to be replayed. Trying to capture me back, dream on. Jiang Fan opened his palm, revealing an ice crystal butterfly. It was the reward given by Ice Heart Venerate for his excellent performance in the interlayer world. Its effect was immunity to domain influence 3 times. He had already used it once. This was the 2nd time using it. Just as the thunder giant was about to envelop Jiang Fan, the ice crystal butterfly activated, its wings flapping. The thunder giant about to form silently collapsed. Jiang Fan decisively activated the heavenly abyss heart, once again absorbing as much thunder power as possible. A few breaths later, as much as 30% of the thunder power was absorbed. After finishing this, he hurriedly ran away. The white-robed skeleton could trigger the domain within his body once. He could trigger it a 2nd time. And his ice crystal butterfly had only 1 use left. He accelerated towards the transmission hall. Inside the stone cone, there came a light chuckle. No wonder you dare to run. Turns out you have a secret treasure to dissolve the domain. But in front of me, how can I let you get away? There was a hint of contempt in his words. Suddenly, the stone cone vibrated, and atop it appeared a 9-colored vortex. A terrifying suction power immediately locked onto Jiang Fan. A feeling of being sucked by the crack in the void washed over him. Against this irresistible force, all his supernatural powers were insignificant, unable to take effect. His figure was immediately pulled back, swiftly towards the stone cone. Jiang Fan's heart rose to his throat. He still underestimated the means of this mysterious white-robed skeleton. If he were caught again, would his fate even need to be mentioned? Definitely dangerous. No more chances to escape. What to do? In his anxious mind, the ghost soul crystal in his embrace left his body on its own. With closer inspection, it was Hua Xin controlling the ghost soul crystal to escape. She didn't want to fall into the stone cone with Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan felt a mix of anger and amusement. This damned female ghost. Turns out she had already recovered some power, able to control the ghost soul crystal. Probably planning to surprise Jiang Fan at a critical moment. Now seeing Jiang Fan being forced to a dead end, she had to reveal herself. Suddenly his heart was moved. He recalled a lingering memory of Hua Xin. Hua Xin faced several 9-winged angels alone. Apparently, Hua Xin had conflicts with the angel clan. Thinking of this, he rolled his eyes. Decisively throwing out the void fishing rod, he fished back the escaping Hua Xin and without further ado grasped her in his palm. "Ah, Jiang Fan, let go of me," Jiang Fan sneered coldly. Without any words, he threw her into the thunder vortex. Hua Xin was terrified and screamed repeatedly. "Ah, damn Jiang Fan. You're really using me as a shield? I won't let you get away with this." With a swoosh, Hua Xin was swept into the stone cone space. Before she could observe her surroundings, suddenly a suffocating aura hit her face. In front appeared a bizarre white-robed skeleton. Its hollow eyes stared intently at Hua Xin, its voice grim and frightening. "Your aura seems familiar." Hua Xin's face twitched. She trembled in fear and forced a smile uglier than crying. "Senior, I have nothing to do with Jiang Fan. That despicable, sinister, treacherous little thief. I share an irreconcilable enmity with him. In this aspect, we are the same." Unexpectedly, as soon as she said this, outside came Jiang Fan's anxious call. "Hua Xin, darling, don't. How can you fight to the death with that fierce creature for me? With you doing this, how can I live alone?" What did Jiang Fan call her? Hua Xin, darling. And fighting to the death for Jiang Fan? No, it was clearly Jiang Fan who threw her in here. "You are very brave." The white-robed skeleton said coldly, murderous intent swirling. In that instant within her heart, Hua Xin mentally cursed Jiang Fan 18 times, while hastily saying aloud, "Senior, I swear, Jiang Fan and I truly share a deep-seated grudge, irreconcilable enemy." Poof. A strange noise echoed. On Hua Xin's back, a purple talisman ignited. Soon after, a mysterious power descended. This talisman Hua Xin was very familiar with. It was Jiang Fan's tool, the wish paper. It turned out that when throwing Hua Xin in, Jiang Fan stuck the wish paper on her back and activated it. That mysterious power instantly enveloped the white-robed skeleton. Jiang Fan's wish also became apparent. Sleep for a breath? Given the white-robed skeleton's mystery and power, Jiang Fan dared not hope that a single wish paper could harm him even slightly. But if it could make him sleep for a breath, then the thunder vortex would stall for being uncontrolled. Thus, Jiang Fan could escape. However, the white-robed skeleton remained expressionless, indifferently said, "Small tricks of the Confucianism, how could they affect me?" With a gentle wave of his hand, the mystical power enveloping him instantly dispersed. It had no effect on him. However, what surprised him was, after the talisman paper on Hua Xin's back burned out, a black lotus leaf was revealed. It was the Black Lotus of Tribulation's lotus leaf. Once it transformed into the virtuous realm hell creature in the interlayer world, it was slain and revealed its original form. The great wine sacrifice carved the words of the sage on it, "Keep smiling." Besides, the lotus leaf itself had its own law. This was a unique lotus leaf with 2 types of sage's engravings. As the lotus leaf revealed, the sage's engraving on it activated. An invisible rule power radiated out. Hua Xin and the white-robed skeleton were both swept up. "Hee, I died laughing. You damned Jiang Fan, how much stuff did you put on me? Ha ha ha. Senior, don't glare at me, it's Jiang Fan's scheme. You have to believe me." Woo woo woo, ha 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 ha. Even the white-robed skeleton was finally affected. He couldn't help but laugh twice, then quickly composed himself. But what made his soul flame surge, as angry as could be, was just in that law-controlled brief moment, the thunder vortex stalled for an instant. Jiang Fan seized the opportunity, using Cloud Shadow, escaped the control range of the thunder vortex. Also out of the enslavement range of the heavenly thunder 6 parts. "Damn it!" The white-robed skeleton roared in anger. He actually let a small ant escape from his hand. Got fooled twice in a row. That wish paper was just a feint. The true backup was that lotus leaf. However, just as he was angry, a crack appeared behind Hua Xin. A golden fishhook sneakily peeked out, immediately hooking Hua Xin. The white-robed skeleton laughed in rage. "Do you think I don't exist?" Still daring to rescue your own wife right before him. He raised a hand to grab, about to catch Hua Xin. Unexpectedly, the fishhook was a feint, grazing Hua Xin's back. The lotus leaf stuck to her back was hooked away, leaving Hua Xin to stay there, staring blankly at the white-robed skeleton. Hua Xin laughed heartily. The response was a surge of killing intent from the white-robed skeleton. "Funny, is it?" Hua Xin was so scared that she almost cried, yet she held her stomach, still laughing heartily. "I want to cry too, but I can't. Boo-hoo-hoo-hoo, ha-ha-ha." The white-robed skeleton snorted coldly, dispelling the always laughing law on Hua Xin. Only then did Hua Xin recover, pulling at her cheeks, sore from laughing, revealing a smile that was uglier than crying. "Senior, you see too, Jiang Fan would rather have treasure than me. How could I be the wife of that little bastard? Please don't kill the innocent by mistake." "Heh, the white-robed skeleton said coldly. "Since you're of no use. Besides, I find your aura annoying. There must have been a grudge between us." Hua Xin was baffled. Thinking quickly, she suddenly understood. If she was Jiang Fan's wife, she could become a hostage for the white-robed skeleton to lure Jiang Fan back to rescue her. If not, then she was worthless. She quickly said, "Wait a minute. I am actually Jiang Fan's wife." Though it felt awkward, she had to pretend for her life. The white-robed skeleton sneered. "One moment you are, the next you aren't. Trying to trick me?" Hua Xin shivered a bit, hurriedly saying, I really am. Moreover, I am the woman Jiang Fan takes care of the most, the one who has accompanied him the longest. You could say we're together day and night. His other women only meet him after a long time. But I'm the only one he keeps with him, inseparable." The white-robed skeleton snorted, flexing his fingers. A white, holy feather floated in front of Hua Xin. "Swear on the feather. If you lie, the feather will turn black and rot." Without hesitation, Hua Xin swore to the feather. "What I said just now is all true, definitely not a lie." The feather flickered a bit and not only didn't rot, it became even more radiant. The white-robed skeleton was suspicious. "You really are the woman who stays with him day and night." He couldn't understand why such an important woman would be abandoned by Jiang Fan. Could it be that he knew he couldn't save her, so he chose to take the lotus leaf instead? If so, that would make sense. Staring at Hua Xin for a while, he snorted coldly. "You'd better pray he comes back to save you." With that, he soared back to the top of the stone stele, sitting cross-legged. Hua Xin secretly breathed a sigh of relief. She was saved. She was inwardly overjoyed. After staying with that little bastard for so long, even if I didn't learn his shamelessness, I can at least learn a bit of wordplay, can't I? In her oath, she only said she was the woman Jiang Fan took care of and stayed with day and night, without mentioning she was his wife. She was inside the ghost soul crystal the whole time, wasn't she, with Jiang Fan day and night? So the white feather didn't turn black. Soon, Hua Xin got angry again. "You little bastard, using me as a bait, huh? Fine, 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 just you wait. If I get out alive, I'll chop you into 81 pieces. Then deep fry, stew, stir-fry, and grill, finally all fed to the dogs." She utterly hated Jiang Fan now. Imprisoned her for so long and in the end left her here. Outrageous. But as a remnant soul, if Jiang Fan didn't save her, how could she escape the white-robed skeleton's demon hand? Jiang Fan, being so cunning, barely escaped with all his tricks. Suddenly, Hua Xin noticed many corpses of the angel clan under the stone stele. One particular body of an 8-winged angel gave her a familiar feeling. Following that, broken memories in her soul seemed to be summoned, slowly reorganizing and becoming ever clearer. Her gaze went from vacant to shocked, then to disbelief. Finally, she returned to calm. In her heart, she sighed with realization. So that's how it is. Elsewhere. After Jiang Fan successfully escaped, he decisively used a space transmission array to flee. Reappearing, he found himself in the transmission hall at Washing Moon Lake. Leaning against the wall, he was panting heavily, sweat dripping from his forehead, his heart pounding uncontrollably. "Almost met my end in the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple." Recalling everything that just happened, Jiang Fan trembled with fear. If asked to go through it again, he had no confidence to escape a second time. That white-robed skeleton was unfathomable, his tricks unpredictable. There was no doubt, aside from the heavenly thunder 6 parts and thunder vortex, the other party had ways to capture him back from afar. Fortunately, he successfully escaped, never going to the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple again in this life. As for Hua Xin, that woman is no saint, she may not suffer. He was originally worried about how to deal with Hua Xin's remnant soul. Releasing her posed the risk of her becoming a threat. Not releasing her, keeping her around also entailed risk. Now, leaving her in the Thunder God Heavenly Palace was the perfect choice. Let Hua Xin and that old monster engage in their own battle. This time, not only did I fill the heavenly abyss heart, I also obtained a 9-colored crystal stone capable of threatening the virtuous realm. Jiang Fan counted his spoils, his face brimming with joy. Though dangerous, the rewards were immensely extraordinary. This meant that when encountering a hostile virtuous realm, he was no longer passively waiting for death. Rather, he now had a measure of deterrence. The only pity is that the sage's engraving from the great wine sacrifice in the demon continent is used up. Jiang Fan looked at the lotus leaf in his hand, with the engraving, always laughing, already vanished from it. It was a one-time use engraving, gone once used. Originally intended for use against a formidable giant king, alas, it was consumed for survival. Just when he was feeling disappointed, something in his peripheral vision seemed amiss. He saw that where the engraving disappeared, there were faint traces. That shouldn't be. Engravings vanish completely after use. Why would there be remnants? Jiang Fan displayed a puzzled expression. Quickly, he found to his amazement that those faint traces deepened slightly. A slight shock ran through his mind, and he immediately realized a possibility. He murmured, Could it be the laws within the lotus leaf itself are resurrecting, always laughing? Thinking carefully about the properties of lotus plants. In a pond, drop a lotus seed, and in a few years the entire pond is filled with lotus leaves. Lotuses inherently symbolize propagation and rebirth. This explains why the vanished laws recondensed. Understanding this, Jiang Fan's heart thumped wildly. Does this mean engraving sage laws on the lotus leaf allows infinite use? The black lotus of tribulation truly is a treasure from top to bottom, the lotus seed defying nature, and even more so the lotus leaf. Jiang Fan beamed with delight, carefully sealing it in a jade box. After some time, always laughing will reconsolidate above it. By then he could activate it once more. SHHH? The space transmission array beside him suddenly surged with space power. Jiang Fan was startled. Was the white-robed skeleton already chasing him? Jiang Fan decisively drew out the purple thunder. At this moment, the urgent voice of Heart Demon Venerable came through the space power. Jiang Daoyu, hold your hand. Is it Heart Demon Venerable? Jiang Fan breathed a sigh of relief, but anger welled up inside as he slashed his sword beside Heart Demon Venerable. The powerful sword Qi shredded the space power. Heart Demon Venerable, mid-transmission, stumbled out of the space and crashed heavily to the ground. Still face down. Hiss! Heart Demon Venerable howled dryly, wanting to lose his temper, but when he looked up and met Jiang Fan's eyes ablaze with anger, he suddenly felt guilty. Cough, cough, Jiang Daoyu, regarding the stone hammer, I didn't know it was so perilous. If I knew, I would never have invited you to the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple. Your current combat strength is comparable to that of the divinity transformation realm, a precious force in resisting the ancient giant catastrophe. If I harmed you, wouldn't I be destroying the Great Wall? Only then did Jiang Fan sheath his sword with a darkened face. He snorted, almost got killed by you. We're done after this. Heart Demon Venerable could only smile bitterly. Whether we're done or not, that's for later. I came to congratulate you on your escape to heaven. Also, to hand over the treasure entrusted by Venerable Lianjing. He took out the jade talisman engraved with the domain of Lianjing Venerable. Feeling a bit sentimental, young Emperor had asserted that Jiang Fan was doomed, yet unexpectedly, Jiang Fan emerged alive. Truly a miracle among miracles. Jiang Fan took the jade talisman, concerned. Is my foster mother injured? He could imagine, after being captured into the stone cone, given the personality of Venerable Lianjing, she would feel guilty and try to break into the stone cone to rescue him. Heart Demon Venerable spoke with respect. Venerable Lianjing risked her life to save you, nearly perishing on the spot. He briefly explained the sequence of events. Jiang Fan's eyes showed some emotion, murmuring, a foster son accepted not long ago, no blood ties, is it really worth it? Then a bit of relief. Didn't expect young Emperor to arrive early. Had I not been accidentally sucked into the stone cone, I would have had to face him. At that time, the least I'd face is having my void flow thunder force abolished or being killed on the spot. The threat of young Emperor is no less than the white-robed skeleton. On that day, young Emperor alone was against two, a memory Jiang Fan recalled deeply. If he wanted to kill Jiang Fan, no one in Taikang's state could save him. Even the great wine sacrifice might not protect him. Entering the stone cone for a day, he unexpectedly avoided a calamity, but it was only a temporary reprieve. His eyes showed a hint of coldness. For the void flow thunder force from the continent, it's been ceaselessly pursuing until now. Just pray I don't cultivate to the heavenly human 5 declines before I die. Otherwise, this account will surely be settled with you. At this moment, Heart Demon Venerable took out some items. They were a cluster of thunder power and several jade talismans. He spoke apologetically. This is my personal compensation for you. Though there is not much thunder power, it is all I have. The jade talismans hold my domain, though not as grand as Venerable Lianjing's, they can be useful in necessity. Jiang Fan recalled the domain of Heart Demon Venerable. It took him a while to remember. The day he first set foot in the heavenly realm and encountered a 9-aperture giant, Song Lingyu used Heart Demon Venerable's domain to protect everyone. The effect induced heart demons, causing emotional agitation. For an atorifious nascent soul, extreme mood swings often lead to one result. Madness. Jiang Fan grasped the jade talisman, saying, "Thanks, this is a good item." Once an atorifious nascent soul goes mad, their combat power greatly increases. This is the essence of the martial path system in Central Earth. On the heavenly mountain battlefield, Jiang Fan once witnessed a scene. A human clan with 9-aperture nascent soul single-handedly killed 9 ancient giants of the same rank. This is the power of madness. If the heavenly mechanism pavilion reaches the end, Heart Demon Venerable's domain can be activated, allowing all atorifious nascent souls to go mad and fight to the death. Besides, though that cluster of thunder power is limited, but combined with thunder power absorbed twice from thunder giants, plus the initial thunder power gifted by Heart Demon Venerable, it was just enough to fill the heavenly abyss heart. He could once again initiate the 6-part unity, temporarily upgrading to the divinity transformation realm for 5 breaths. Heart Demon Venerable said ruefully, "No need for thanks, just don't hold it against us at the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple." Jiang Fan waved his hand, saying, "Forget it, you at the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple are the true victims. Several predecessors perished because of it." Heart Demon Venerable frowned, puzzled. "Several predecessors?" Jiang Fan held a quiet fear. It seems the memories of those at the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple and their historical texts have been permanently altered. What kind of means is this? He shook his head, saying, "Nothing. Heart Demon Venerable will meet on the battlefield." Heart Demon Venerable cupped his hands. "I take my leave, 2 days remain." Only 2 days left. Jiang Fan picked up his identity token, only to find that during his contemplation of control scriptures, the Kinshin Bureau hadn't released information. Until the arrival of the ancient giants. Only 2 days left. His heart sank, and after sending off Heart Demon Venerable, he departed the hall, gazing at the beautiful white tower. In his mind appeared the lovely figure in a goose-yellow long garment. Just about to head over, he discovered the restrictions around the white tower had been activated, forbidding entry. Training in true words, but didn't I poison all the spirit fish? Where does she get the divinity transformation opportunity? With a slight contemplation, he didn't disturb her and turned to gaze south towards the vast sea. As if his sight transcended space and reached the continent. He silently took out the soul-awakening divine nails, his expression complex. "Demon Moon, you are my last obstacle to divinity transformation." If there was anything he regretted, it was the Battle of Boundary Mountain, those 9 sect comrades who died unjustly. Especially the death of Fu Keohun, who entrusted the ancient zither. They died at the hands of Demon Moon. He once vowed in his heart to avenge them. But things did not go as planned. In addition to forming a heart connection worm with Demon Moon, live and die together. He often received favor from Spirit Sound, Demon Moon's mother. Killing Demon Moon to avenge them has become an unsolvable knot. Kill Demon Moon, and the heart connection worm's effect would cause Jiang Fan's soul to be destroyed and perish. Even without the threat of the heart connection worm. Killing Demon Moon, how to face Spirit Sound. This final test for divinity transformation is truly the hardest. Jiang Fan sighed, putting away the soul-awakening divine nails. Shaking his head, he stepped into the transmission array, first returning to the heavenly mechanism pavilion. Almost simultaneously, on the continent, Beihua Valley, Spirit Sound sat under the peach blossom tree, feeding the little fish gathered in the stream. She seemed to sense something, looked up towards Taikang State, and calmly spoke. "Resolved the other regrets so quickly. Then let me lend you a helping hand." She lifted her hand and plucked a peach blossom from the tree above her. Her red lips slightly parted, gently blowing onto the peach petal. The next moment, the peach blossom rapidly expanded like a balloon. Soon, it magically transformed into a humanoid shape, with painted eyebrows and 18-year-old visage splendid and radiant, remarkably resembling Demon Moon, but her eyes were blank, devoid of life, merely an empty shell. The appearance is fine, but it won't fool Jiang Fan. Her plan was to create a fake Demon Moon for Jiang Fan to slay. This way, the regret in Jiang Fan's heart would be filled, allowing him to achieve perfection and undergo divinity transformation. However, with Jiang Fan's intelligence, how could this empty husk deceive him? Spirit Sound said calmly, "Get a soul to fill the husk, it's not a big problem. The difficult part is Jiang Fan might be reluctant to strike. He has too many concerns." Suddenly, Spirit Sound seemed to sense something, and a faint smile appeared on her lips, revealing a mysterious smile, returning Ruin's State, Heavenly Heritage City. "Zhang, you must take care of yourself." City Lord Mansion. The Heavenly Remnant City Lord's body shrank to the size of a normal human, surrounded by 5 fierce Dharma images. He patted the young City Lord's shoulder earnestly and said, "Your life is the first priority, rescuing the princess comes second." The young City Lord nodded solemnly. With a sharp look in his eyes, he said, "Father, rest assured I will be cautious. I will protect my life and save the princess too." And Jiang Fan must die? The events of Heavenly Heritage City have already spread across the central Earth 9 provinces. A nascent soul realm cultivator carried a city and charged into Heavenly Heritage City, slaughtering over half of the Dharma image realm half-giants right in front of the Heavenly Remnant City Lord. This is an enormous humiliation. With the half-giants' domineering nature, how could they be content with letting it go so easily? They will surely seek revenge against Jiang Fan. Moreover, Jiang Fan has Princess Zai Jiang. Whether using Princess Zai Jiang as a hostage or as a token of allegiance to the ancient giants would help the half-giants avoid this catastrophe. Therefore, capturing the princess and killing Jiang Fan is the will of all the half-giants in Heavenly Heritage City. However, the privately constructed transmission array leading to Taikang State has been damaged, and they can't secretly infiltrate Taikang State. They can only use the official transmission array. With the Heavenly Remnant City Lord's peak cultivation coming right at the crucial moment of the ancient giant's catastrophe. The great wine sacrifice of this state would never allow him to leave. They could only send the weakest, the young city lord of the first image realm. Moreover, he couldn't go directly to Taikang State. The great wine sacrifice would guess his purpose and deny him. The young city lord needs to first go to another great state, then secretly reach Taikang State through a privately built transmission array. Once there, find Jiang Fan and take action at the right moment. The Heavenly Remnant City Lord said, "In 2 days, the state-level teleportation array will close. On your journey, you may not return within 2 days. You will undoubtedly stay in Taikang State. During which, be careful. If you encounter the ancient giants, reveal your identity and tell them you are one of them. Avoid being mistakenly harmed by them." The young city lord nodded and said, "I understand. Father, await my good news, Western Continent, on an immortal mountain towering into the clouds, where stars can be plucked from the summit." Su Yining slowly opened her beautiful eyes. The metallic mask she had once removed was now back on, hiding her peerless appearance. In front of her, within a jade box engraved with an evil crow, mysterious energies were being absorbed into her body. On her body, blue-glowing meridians were visible to the naked eye. The spiritual energy around her seemed to fall into a bottomless pit, converging into her body. "No wonder my senior brother, even on his deathbed, urged me repeatedly to keep you in Star Mountain. Your physique is indeed mysterious." A short distance away, the silver-haired Star Mountain Lord, feeling the change in spiritual energy, revealed a hint of amazement in their eyes. This speed of absorbing spiritual energy is simply unheard of. Moreover, Su Yining's physique leverages more than just absorbing spiritual energy. The Star Mountain Lord could feel Su Yining's comprehension escalating rapidly. Her physique and soul were also growing day by day. There were even several mysterious Taos manifesting on Su Yining's body. One of them is the time path. This is one of the hardest Taos to comprehend, seldom understood by ordinary means. The last person to comprehend this Tao was the compassionate sage. If everything goes smoothly, Su Yining's path might not stop at the heavenly human 5 declines, but become a sage. Su Yining paused her cultivation, and the evil crow jade seal fell from her chest. She gently held it, eyes filled with relief, and chuckled. "Thanks to the evil crow jade seal sent by my brother-in-law, it was able to fully activate my physique." Brother-in-law. "This address," the Star Mountain Lord said. "Have you understood?" Su Yining stood up and nodded lightly. "To move forward, one must first let go of the past. I've put the phoenix crown down, and him I've let go as well." Looking at the slender figure standing alone with an expression of relief, the Star Mountain Lord's heart ached slightly. Picking up and letting go is just a thought away. But this decision means a heart wounded to death and a broken spirit. That night facing the phoenix crown, what kind of pain and struggle did Su Yining endure before finally letting go? "Yining!" The Star Mountain Lord's lips trembled slightly. Su Yining smiled faintly. "Master, I've figured out my path." The Star Mountain Lord put away their sadness, eyes showing joy. "The sooner one determines their path, the more chances to perfect it early." She asked, "Which path is it?" Su Yining beamed with a smile. "The time path, Taikang State, Kinshin Bureau." Simultaneously, the state-level teleportation arrays, including Hunyuan State, suddenly lit up. A young man and woman appeared. The young man was a lad with red lips and white teeth, handsome and otherworldly, a smile on his lips. Brother Jiang's fame is truly sky-high, known in every state, especially in Hunyuan State and Great Wilderness State, where he's held in extraordinary regard. He was none other than Dharma Seal, The peerless beauty beside him, with a cold and aloof temperament, was the Usura remnant soul from the heavenly realm. Yue. The two of them roamed the 9 states hand in hand, now returning just before the state-level teleportation array closed. He is indeed different. Yue nodded her snowy chin gently. The first time she saw Jiang Fan was at the edge of the continent when Jiang Fan had just battled with the 2-star Giant King and young Emperor Mountain's strong foes. Her impression of Jiang Fan was that he had decent willpower and was unaffected by her Yaomei Usura clan's allure, not at all tempted by her beauty. But while traveling the 9 states, whenever people learned they were from Taikang State, they would ask about Jiang Fan. She then realized Jiang Fan's extraordinary feats, twice invading and retreating from the heavenly realm, and wiping out half the city of Dharma Image Realm in his rage in returning ruined state. Even she thought Jiang Fan was extraordinary. However, Yue linked arms with Dharma Seal. Her gaze at him was as tender as water. "He can't compare to you." Dharma Seal smiled gently. "Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The number of women admiring Brother Jiang is too many to count. While liking me, a monk is only you." Yue just smiled without speaking. Her delicate head rested on his shoulder and said, "I will always stay with you. Always." Dharma Seal wrapped his arm around her slim shoulders and said, "Let's go. To meet Brother Jiang, I have brought something good for him." Jiang Fan returned. He found the pavilion master and some disciples setting up 3 ancient array plates. Jiang Fan remembered that these were top-grade defense treasures given by a few venerables from the great wilderness state during their last visit. Each array plate could block an attack from a divinity transformation venerable. If the Giant King were to attack the heavenly mechanism pavilion, these array plates could temporarily withstand their attacks 3 times. But if it truly came to that point, it would imply that Taikang State had already suffered a great defeat and was powerless to stop the ancient giants from destroying various sects. At that time, it would undoubtedly be a precarious situation. Let's hope these array plates are never needed. "Master, you're back!" Xianxia, who was assisting the pavilion master, seemed to sense something and looked over, her calm eyes immediately filled with joy. She dropped what she was doing and quickly approached, standing charmingly in front of Jiang Fan. In a pear blossom-colored embroidered cloud-long dress, she outlined a graceful and beautiful figure. Her black hair was like a waterfall, and her crystal eyes shone like jewels. A faint fragrance wafted in with the breeze. Jiang Fan looked at her with mixed feelings. This girl, calm as still water, who only smiled brightly like peach blossoms when she saw him, was actually from the alien race. How did she come from the heavenly realm to Central Earth? And why did she come? What purpose was she hiding with her dual identity? For a moment, Xianxia seemed somewhat unfamiliar to him. "Master, what's wrong? Were you injured?" Xianxia noticed Jiang Fan's unusual expression, her smile fading as she became worried. Even when she was injured, she wouldn't frown. But when Jiang Fan was hurt, she couldn't stay calm. Jiang Fan pulled himself out of his thoughts, looking at her concerned face. He recalled various moments with Xianxia. He eventually sighed inwardly. "Never mind who she is or what purpose she has, doesn't matter. I just need to know she's Xianxia, the one who has silently cared for me all along." Shaking his head, Jiang Fan smiled and said, "It's nothing. This trip was very smooth." Xianxia didn't believe him, frowning. "Then why were you staring at me just now?" Jiang Fan chuckled. "It's been a long time since I've seen you. Can't I look at you a little longer?" "Ah." Xianxia blushed, hurriedly looking around, her face tinged with red. This was the first time Jiang Fan had said something so intimate to her. It made her quite embarrassed, and made her heart flutter like a deer running wild, her mind wandering, secretly guessing the deeper meaning in Jiang Fan's words. Jiang Fan took out the Earth Tooth sword, handing it to her, saying, "This is a top-grade spirit sword given to me by my adoptive mother, the Earth Tooth sword. I'm lending it to you for self-defense. The Dayan sword array at great success needs 6 top-grade spirit swords. Currently, there are only 5. And the Earth Tooth sword and Evil sword are unused, so it's better to give them to Xianxia to use in battle against the ancient giants." Xianxia was taken aback, his adoptive mother's gift to Jiang Fan. It should be given to future daughters-in-law like Fairy Yunshang or Liu Qingxian instead, right? Why give it to her? Xianxia's face reddened further, her eyes staring at the Earth Tooth sword in front of her, hesitant to take it. Jiang Fan wondered, why is she blushing from borrowing a sword? Did I say something ambiguous? He tried to probe. "Keoj, if you don't want this sword, I can give you something else." He pretended to take it back. Xianxia quickly snatched it, looking away, her face flushed, not daring to meet Jiang Fan's eyes. She stammered, "I want it, of course I want it." "Thank you, master. I'll go help the pavilion master with the array plates now." With that, she ran off as if fleeing, leaving Jiang Fan scratching his head. "Ha, she dares to accept a top-grade spirit sword. If Su Yoren finds out, she'd be scared to return it." Liu Qingxian, watching the scene, shot Jiang Fan a side-eye. Jiang Fan couldn't help but chuckle. He knew exactly what Liu Qingxian was hinting at. Back at the foot of Boundary Mountain, when he distributed the Bodhi seeds among everyone, Su Yoren suddenly appeared, scaring Xianxia into sheepishly returning the Bodhi seeds. As Liu Qingxian approached, Jiang Fan didn't hesitate either. He took out the green frost sword. As an inheritor of the mysterious elderly sword Dao Master, Liu Qingxian also needed a good sword. He only needed Tingsu, the purple sword, and the evil sword to form the Dayan sword array and kill enemies. "This one's for you." Liu Qingxian accepted it in one swoop, then grinned. "This is more like it. If you give it to your disciple but not to me, I'd definitely tell Su Yoren." Jiang Fan chuckled, knowing only Liu Qingxian would talk to him so straightforwardly. He looked at the beauty in a purple dress and silently hugged her waist, softly saying, "Take care of yourself on the battlefield." Liu Qingxian's smile faded, her heart growing heavy. In this battle, anyone could fall. She might, or Jiang Fan might. "You too, Fan." Liu Qingxian reached out to embrace him, savoring the last warmth before the catastrophe. Sensing the emotions of parting, Jiang Fan felt something in his heart, lowered his head, and kissed her red lips. But some things simply have no sense of timing. Jiang Fan's pants leg was tugged by something. Looking down, he saw a spirit beast in baby form with whiskers and covered in green scales. Who else but Rebellious Guy? It rubbed its hands, speaking in a childish voice. "Big brother, can you spare me some treasures too?" It turned out Rebellious Guy had been watching from afar, enticed by Jiang Fan's continual giveaway of treasures. So it came over to ask for some as well. His pleasant moment interrupted, Jiang Fan lost his temper and kicked it away. "Stop hanging around with Liang Feiyan." Rebellious Guy rolled away a few times, looking bewildered. "What's wrong with Brother Liang?" Jiang Fan snorted disdainfully, growing more and more displeased with Rebellious Guy. Suddenly, he remembered there was something that needed someone to handle, so he had a thought and took out 3 oval eggs. They turned out to be the eggs of the shadow black snake. If hatched, they could yield a venom lethal to the ancient giants. However, hatching such a venomous snake wasn't without its dangers. He wouldn't trust anyone else with it. Rebellious Guy was the right fit. This little trickster full of rebellion, he wouldn't care even if it died from the poison. With a glint in his eye, Jiang Fan cleared his throat. "Rebellious Guy, I have an important mission for you. These are the eggs of 3 divine beasts. Once successfully hatched, they will breed a lethal weapon against the ancient giants. This task I wouldn't trust to anyone else. After careful consideration, only someone as capable as you fits the bill." Rebellious Guy was stunned. Was he dreaming? Jiang Fan was actually praising him and saying he was capable. This made Rebellious Guy puff up his chest, thinking he truly stood tall today. But looking at these so-called divine beast eggs, Rebellious Guy's whiskered lip twitched, suspicious. "These are snake eggs, right? Won't the hatched snakes bite me?" Jiang Fan's face stiffened for a moment. He almost forgot that Rebellious Guy was a true spirit. Its sensitivity to the demon race was sharp. Jiang Fan maintained his composure and said, "This venom is only harmful to ancient giants. It's not very toxic to other creatures. If bitten, it would just cause a bump." After speaking, Jiang Fan silently added in his mind, "A bump that grows on the top of a hill." The little Killin had no doubts. Thinking that the 3 little snakes were the killing devices that could annihilate the ancient giants, its eyes sparkled. This was tantamount to a life-saving treasure. Why would it hesitate? Immediately, with a gleeful smile, it extended its 2 tiny claws to take the 3 serpent eggs from Jiang Fan's hand and said in a milk-like voice, "Big brother is really nice." Jiang Fan smiled fondly and said, go ahead, hurry and hatch them." The Rebellious Guy patted its chest and said, "Big brother, don't worry, I'm a professional at hatching eggs." After saying this, it ran off joyfully with the serpent eggs. At this moment, the pavilion master finished setting up 3 array plates, flew over and said, "Is everything taken care of?" Jiang Fan did not mention the matter of the demon moon and said, "Everything has been settled. All is prepared, just waiting for the arrangement of the Kinshin Bureau." Regardless of whether it is the 3 God sect and the 7 great teachings or various major and minor sects. In the end, they all must uniformly accept the coordination from the Kinshin Bureau. Only in this way can power be concentrated to engage in a great battle against the descending ancient giants. If each fights on their own, they will only be attacked and defeated one by the ancient giants. The pavilion master took a deep breath and said, "The heavenly mechanism pavilion is also ready. Outside, there are 3 defensive array plates, and inside we have the heart-eating black worm gifted by Wanjun Demon Monarch. If the battle goes unfavorably, retreating to the heavenly mechanism pavilion means we can still defend for a while." Unfortunately, the Ice and Fire Demon Lord left and never returned. Otherwise, our defense would be stronger. Mentioning the Ice and Fire Demon Lord caused Jiang Fan to furrow his brows too. The last encounter with the Ice and Fire Demon Lord was within the state-level teleportation array. They suffered a surprise attack from the Usura Saint Sun's dark magic, causing the 3 of them to be separated. Jiang Fan and Venerable Lianjing fell into Hunyuan state. The whereabouts of the Ice and Fire Demon Lord are unknown. No one knows if he fell into the void or survived, but is unwilling to return to Taikang state. "I hope he is safe." Jiang Fan sighed silently. "Let's go in, rest well, and await the news from the Kinshin Bureau." Then, a gentle laughter came echoing from afar. "The heavenly mechanism pavilion wouldn't mind preparing 2 more dwelling places, right?" Everyone looked up. At the horizon, a floating cloud swiftly approached. On it stood a handsome couple. It was Dharma Seal and Yue. Jiang Fan gazed at Yue, his pupils slightly constricting. He once asked Red Sleeves what kind of Usura clan could enchant a high monk to leave the Buddhist sect. Red Sleeves answered it was the Yume Usura lineage. Furthermore, the higher the cultivation of the Yume clan, the purer and more flawless they become, without the outward appearance of enchantment. Yue's cultivation was unfathomable. At present, from Dharma Seal's words, it seemed he had traveled across the 9 states and did not plan to return to the White Horse Temple. He wanted to reside in the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. Jiang Fan naturally welcomed this. Dharma Seal himself was a late-stage nascent soul Vajra, and Yue was an even more mysterious power. How could Jiang Fan refuse? He grinned and said, "Sorry, there's only 1 room left." Dharma Seal's smile froze slightly. He glanced at Yue and laughed awkwardly, asking for her opinion. Yue blushed, giving Jiang Fan a shy yet playful glare, and whispered, "He is indeed your good brother." After hesitating a moment, she looked away and said, "You decide for yourself." Dharma Seal felt jubilant and secretly gave Jiang Fan a thumbs up, meaning the brother still understands me. Then with a straight face, he said, "Since only 1 room is left, we'll just make do." Soon after, he flew down and examined Jiang Fan closely, revealing a look of surprise. Laughing, he cupped his hands and said, "Congratulations, brother Jiang, you have stepped onto your own path." Yue also looked over, sensed slightly, and revealed a look of astonishment. Unexpectedly, the path of perfection, truly bold. Never heard of anyone in Central Earth achieving divinity through this path. But this path is indeed imposing. If one achieves divinity, the power of the domain will be unmatched in Central Earth. Jiang Fan was also sizing up Dharma Seal. He couldn't perceive Dharma Seal's realm, perhaps due to Yue's help in concealing it. But precisely, this indicated Dharma Seal's strength had experienced a dramatic change. Otherwise, why would Yue need to veil it? His smile deepened as he said, "You must be tired from touring the 9 states. Now I'll send you to the dwelling place to rest." Dharma Seal laughed and took out 2 jade boxes from his sleeve, saying, "While traveling Hunyuan state, Xingyuan Venerable entrusted me to deliver this to you." He handed 1 jade box over. Jiang Fan was astonished at heart and took a look, finding it hard to remain composed. It was actually 5 sheets of purple wish paper. As the calamity of the ancient giants loomed, each sheet of wish paper was precious, and Yunhai Academy itself was lacking. Yet Xingyuan Venerable managed to squeeze out 5 sheets to give to Jiang Fan. This father-in-law really had nothing to say about him. Perhaps he wanted to use this gesture to encourage Jiang Fan to treat his daughter, true words, well. "Xingyuan Venerable had me pass on 2 words to you. Take care." Jiang Fan felt a slight heaviness in his heart and softly replied, "He too." He secretly decided that once the great battle ended, he would definitely connect True Words and Xingyuan Venerable. At least let them have a good talk once. He always felt that a person like Xingyuan Venerable, possessing such heavenly righteousness, wouldn't act with the body's bones barely cold and already marry someone new. There must be some unspeakable trouble. Lastly, this is a fortuitous encounter I obtained unexpectedly while touring Holy Spirit State. Thinking it might be useful to you, I brought it back. Dharma Seal handed the other jade box over. Jiang Fan took a look, his gaze trembling. The jade box contained a mass of earth-yellow glow, emitting powerful origin fluctuations. His Adam's apple moved, and he said, "Could this be?" Dharma Seal chuckled lightly, "Earth origin. Hope it proves useful to you." Jiang Fan couldn't suppress his joy and said, "Thank you, Brother Dharma Seal." Void flow 5 forces. Heaven, thunder, wind, fire, earth. He had already cultivated the origins of thunder, wind, and fire. He lacked the opportunities for the heaven and earth origins. At the moment, earth origin was precisely what he needed. Just missing the so-called heaven origin, then he would possess the void flow 5 forces. If all are cultivated to perfection according to void flow 5 forces, with 5 strengths perfection, if saints do not emerge, there would be none equal in the world. The heavenly mechanism pavilion master was also delighted for Jiang Fan and said, "Jiang Fan, go and cultivate. I will escort the two into the dwelling." Jiang Fan nodded. Immediately, he bid farewell to Liu Qingxian and entered the dwelling. Simultaneously, he took out a multitude of thunder power and earth origin. 2 days remained until the ancient giants. But the final day must be devoted to following the Kinshin Bureau's arrangements. He had only 1 day to himself. As he closed his eyes, preparing to utilize every moment for cultivation, a long-awaited beeping sound came from his embrace. It was the moon realm. His heart stirred, already guessing who sent the message. Decisively pausing his cultivation, he took out the moon realm. Focusing his gaze, a familiar name appeared before him. Glasses. It was Red Sleeves from the heavenly realm, and her words caused Jiang Fan's heart to feel incredibly heavy. "Realm is over, it's your turn, Central Earth. May the heavens have mercy on you." Across the moon realm, Jiang Fan could feel Red Sleeves' sadness, anger, and despair. During the month of the Great Hunt, what did the Asura clan village in the heavenly realm go through? And now, what is the situation? Jiang Fan's finger hovered over the moon realm, hesitating to inquire. After a long while, he gathered the courage to write. "Take a good name. What's the casualty situation in the various Asura villages?" It was a long time before a response came from the moon realm. "Spectacles, thank you for keeping the last spark of life for the Asura clans." Jiang Fan's pupils contracted. Does this mean that the Asura clans in the heavenly realm have perished? With trembling fingers, he wrote, "Take a good name, is it this grim?" He believed the ancient giants had the power to wipe out all the Asura clans. But if they exterminated them, what would the ancient giants hunt in the next great hunt? As per tradition, the ancient giants would leave a spark for each village, allowing them 100 years to reproduce. So why have they eradicated everything this time? Spectacles, except for 9 large Asura tribes, there are no remains of the others. Jiang Fan was stunned for quite a while. No remains left. These 4 light words describe a scene of extreme horror. The sight he'd seen through the heavenly eye Asura clan, of an ancient giant devouring an entire village, was but a reflection of countless other villages. Spectacles, the ancient giants have gone mad, destroying everything without consequence. The Asura villages are like this, and so will be your Central Earth. Jiang Fan's gaze turned solemn. What happened that made the ancient giants change the rules of 10,000 years? If they wiped out the Asura villages, what about Central Earth? He suddenly realized a truth he'd overlooked. With fingers on the moon realm, he wrote, "Take a good name. Are we, Central Earth, just like your Asura villages, actually being reared by the ancient giants?" Spectacles, you only realize it now. Is there a difference between the millennium-long return of the ancient giants and the century-long great hunt? Spectacles, they are all orchestrated cataclysms. Jiang Fan's body shook, his gaze losing focus momentarily. He had long felt that the intervals between each millennial cataclysm were too deliberate. It turns out that a giant hand was indeed driving everything from behind the scenes. The difference was that the Asura villages were just a meal for the ancient giants. Central Earth was their touty feast, and over the millennia, not every cataclysm resulted in Central Earth's victory. That Central Earth has continued, till now was likely because the ancient giants left a spark behind so Central Earth could continue, convenient for another hunt. But now, a drastic change must have occurred among the ancient giants. They decided to end everything. If Central Earth loses this time, it will be complete extinction. Hugh, Jiang Fan took a deep breath, feeling the weight as he wrote. "Take a good name, what is your situation now?" Red Sleeves remained silent for a long time before responding. "Spectacles, like a fish in a dried-up pond, what can I do but wait for death?" Jiang Fan understood her predicament. The ancient giants had already enacted a policy of extermination on each major village. How can the remaining 9 major villages fend for themselves? Once the ancient giants exterminated Central Earth, they would focus their power to obliterate them entirely. Take a good name, hold on. Spectacles, I will. I will also keep my promise to go to the Black Sun Royal Court and hold off the 5-star giant king for you. Spectacles. If you in Central Earth win and the ancient giants suffer great losses, then we 9 tribes have a slight chance of survival. I do understand that. Jiang Fan exhaled slightly. With clever people, there was no need for pointless words. Take a good name. Please, we in Central Earth will fight with all we have. Spectacles, you'd better not hold back, or the countless extinct Usura clan villages will be your true reflection. Spectacles, also, I need to remind you of something. Remember the Central Tribe army I mentioned? Jiang Fan frowned and wrote, take a good name, I remember. That day, Red Sleeves had said she heard a message that a Central Tribe secretly dispatched a Central Tribal army. Red Sleeves speculated that most likely it was aimed at her village or Taikang state. Spectacles. This army did not attack our village. Spectacles, you at Taikang state. Brace yourselves. Jiang Fan's pupils trembled violently. If Red Sleeves' speculation was correct, then that Central Tribal army is coming for Taikang state. This time they are not only facing the ancient giants of the Black Sun Royal Court, but also this extremely mysterious Central Tribal army. Jiang Fan clutched his head, feeling utterly powerless. The Black Sun Royal Court has nearly 10 giant kings, one of which is the terrifying 5-star giant king. The ordinary ancient giants were already double the number of Taikang state's nascent Seoul middle stage. This was always going to be a desperate and unequal battle. If an army more formidable than the Black Sun Royal Court tribe comes, Jiang Fan really couldn't think of how Taikang state could win. He quietly put away the moon realm, his heart heavy with dread. Yet hearing the heavenly mechanism pavilion's bustling sounds, the focus in his eyes returned. He punched his leg heavily, saying, let them come, who's afraid of who? He raised his hand and seized all the thunder power in front of him into his body. The heavenly abyss heart was completely filled. This meant he could step into the divinity transformation realm once more. He then clenched the earth origin and silently understood. Holy Spirit state, in a suspended palace full of bird song and floral scents. Ice Heart Venerate sat on a swing surrounded by flowers, holding the moon realm, her gentle face unutterably solemn. No wonder the great wine sacrifice laid plans early, cultivating the true demon of destruction. Turns out he anticipated this was the last arrival of the ancient giants, and they would give no further chance for Central Earth to propagate. Can Central Earth really survive this time? She mused for a long time, then again reviewed Jiang Fan and Red Sleeves' conversation in Hell language. When her gaze landed on take a good name, her eyes were complicated. The hardest hit will still be Taikang state. If nothing unexpected happens, Taikang state will be the first to perish. All Jiang Fan's hard work preparing to resist the ancient giants will ultimately be futile, not changing the outcome in the slightest. She felt some sympathy for Jiang Fan. After exhausting every effort, he received nothing but fate's mockery. After a moment of thought, she bit her lips slightly, took out the moon realm and wrote, flowers in bloom. Take a good name, send someone to the Kinshin Bureau's transmission array. I have something to send. After writing, she instructed, Liu, go to the Kinshin Bureau and transmit this item. She took out a tattered cloth piece, radiating a divine power that all beings would worship. If Jiang Fan were here, he would recognize it at once. This was exactly the mysterious cloth piece that Black Dragon Venerable threw out, collapsing Central Earth's barrier and creating long void fissures. The words on the cloth, which even the Great Venerate couldn't gaze directly upon, have disappeared without a trace. Only a vague imprint remains, barely recognizable that a word once existed there. Even so, the aura it exudes still makes the Ice Heart Venerate feel a chill. Venerate, are you sending things to Taikang state again? Liu, her personal maid, grumbled discontentedly. These treasures are scarcely enough for us in Holy Spirit state. Yet the Venerate keeps sending them out. It's as if that place is her in-laws. Though it was an unintended remark, the Ice Heart Venerate suddenly grew anxious and exclaimed, hold your tongue, send it over immediately. Liu shrank her neck in fright, looking bewildered. The Venerate was always calm and composed, never losing her temper. What is going on today? Just mentioning in-laws made her so anxious. Could it be that her visit to Taikang state led to something? That guy is known for charming women. She had warned the Venerate not to fall for him. The Venerate had said they wouldn't even meet. How could he charm her? Yet she visited Taikang State once and was truly taken. Distracted, she reached out and took the cloth. Be careful not to remove the sealing on it, or it will crush you. The Ice Heart Venerate gave her a light glare, reminding her. Though the cloth had lost its power to crush the barriers of Central Earth, she had found it under a ruin while cleaning up remnants near the crack. And that ruin was once a 1,000-foot mountain. The cloth crushed the mountain and sank beneath the earth. Its weight can be imagined. Even if suddenly thrown onto a great Venerate, it might be too much to bear. Liu regained her composure and solemnly replied, Yes, Venerate. Watching her leave, the Ice Heart Venerate murmured, I hope this helps you. She picked up the Moon Realm and re-examined the information provided by Red Sleeves, her eyes full of approval. This Usura clan member named Glasses is indeed sharp-minded. Even in dire straits, able to discern the situation and wisely decide to continue aiding Taikang State. She even warned me that the ancient token's holder is not to be trifled with. I truly should have listened. A bitter smile formed at the corners of her lips. If she hadn't insisted on seeking the ancient token, she wouldn't have taken a hit from Jiang Fan and stirred up the matter of the undergarments. Thinking of this, she awkwardly covered her face. Daidity the Moon Realm rang. She looked down to see a message from Jiang Fan. Good name chooser. With Sister Fugui, I can save 20 years of journey. The Ice Heart Venerate rolled her eyes and angrily wrote, Slick talker pretending to be serious. But then she reconsidered, erased it, and mischievously wrote, Flourishing flowers, I don't have many years left. Come accompany me when I die. All my inheritance is yours. Jiang Fan, far away in Taikang State, turned pale green. No way, it was just a joke. Why is the rich lady being serious? And is Flourishing Flowers older than imagined? Is she not a rich lady, but a wealthy old lady? Daidity never a killjoy. May I boldly ask, how old is Sister Fugui? Flourishing Flowers, not old, just an 800-year-old girl. Never a killjoy. I wholeheartedly support this marriage. Anyone opposed, I'll be furious with them. Heaven has eyes. The blasted Jiang Fan enjoyed beauty all his life. Finally, an old lady is going to end it all. Palace mainstay, support. Let him save 100 years of detouring. Death diary must support. I wish you an eternity together, never to part. Blooming Grove, can't help but support. Master Uncle has finally found true love. Only Red Sleeves shook her head at the Moon Realm. Judging by Flourishing Flowers' demeanor, she's clearly a youthful, inexperienced girl. These guys really think she's an old lady, continuously pairing them. Isn't this benefiting Jiang Fan? Thinking a moment, she raised her finger and wrote, Glasses, support, wishing you many healthy children. Poof, Jiang Fan gazed at the torrent of responses, almost spitting blood. These guys couldn't handle him having any good fortune. He immediately put away the Moon Realm and played dead where he stood. Despite the Moon Realm constantly pinging, he dared not look. Long after, the Ice Heart Venerate had been holding the Moon Realm, laughing heartily, finding relief. See how unpopular you are on average. Everyone is dying to see you embarrassed. Just be grateful that calamity is coming so we have no chance to meet again. Otherwise, I would definitely act as an old lady to truly embarrass you, making you want to find a hole to hide in. HMPH. She imagined herself as an old lady, terrifying Jiang Fan until he turned green. Unable to help but cover her mouth and laugh. Time quickly passed by, with all the disciples' identity tokens in Taikang State sounding off with beeps. Everyone's heart felt clenched by a giant hand. This day has inevitably come. Jiang Fan was surrounded by 4 sesame-sized halos, each exuding the essence. They were the origins of wind, fire, lightning, and the newly cultivated earth origin. I hope these origins can be useful in the great battle. His heart stirred, and the 4 origins returned to his body. Then he picked up the token. Inside, it finally showed more than just simple numbers. It was the great wine sacrifices words to all martial artists. Millennial catastrophe, eternal doom. Creatures of this era belonging to your era's disaster, it has arrived. I hope you are prepared for death. Also hope you have few regrets. Because this will be the most difficult catastrophe, no one can escape, no one can be spared. Anyone may fall, including me. Seeing this, Jiang Fan's heart was heavy. Even Taikang State's top fighter, the Great Wine Sacrifice, openly admitted he may fall. Not to mention others. He took a deep breath and continued reading. The path ahead is dark and unlit, but we cannot stop. Because we are the only light in the eyes of all beings. We must move forward, open a path of hope through despair for all living beings. Ignite light in the darkness for them. I, taking state's great wine sacrifice, willing to burn my body, live or die with all beings. May everyone follow me, move forward together. Also, believe me, a spark will eventually ignite the prairie. Jiang Fan slowly stood up. With strong and steady gaze, he watched overhead. He wasn't feeling passionate nor deeply moved, because that's how he's always thought and acted. Old Qin in its vigor, shouldering the national crisis. Born a human, fortunate to be a strong person in human clan, must wield the sword at his waist, shape the mountains and rivers. He held the purple sword tightly and pushed open the stone door, with chilling light in his eyes. Ancient giant, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Pavilion Master and others had already gathered outside. Even Huang Quan and Bai Luo, who were in seclusion, had come here. No one was absent. Everyone's expression was solemn and serious. This day, not only Jiang Fan was waiting. They were waiting too. Jiang Fan took a deep breath and said, "Is everyone ready?" The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master said, "Only Shang Shikyu, Leng Qingzhu, and Ruan Qingsu remain to guard the sect. Everyone else go to the Qinshan Bureau and await instructions." Jiang Fan nodded slightly. The three had just broken through to the nascent soul realm. Their strength was unstable. Leaving them to guard the sect was most appropriate. Gu Zinner held a jade box and said, "Here, Sister Fu Gui sent this for you." Yesterday, Gu Zinner went to the Qinshan Bureau's transmission array to retrieve something. Jiang Fan didn't know what gift Flowers in Bloom had sent, and upon looking, his pupils slightly contracted. How could he not recognize this piece of tattered cloth that had crushed the space barrier of Central Earth? How did this item end up in the hands of Flowers in Bloom? This old rich lady indeed has great ability. Feeling the divine power within the fabric, Jiang Fan's eyes showed gratitude. If used properly, this item can exert great power. I owe Sister Fu Gui a big favor. At this moment, a sea breeze blew by. A cloud drifted towards the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, and atop it landed a young woman in a pink long dress with unparalleled beauty. Her appearance was very beautiful, and the few colorful scales on her forehead did not affect her looks. Instead, they added a touch of exotic charm. She was none other than the Yizhu Demon Emperor of the East Sea. Jiang Fan felt surprised and stepped forward to greet her. "Sister Yizhu, why are you here? You have the East Sea to guard. There's no need for you to go to the battlefield. Once the great battle begins, even the four seas cannot avoid the invasion of ancient giants." How could she leave the East Sea? The Yizhu Demon Emperor took out 5 space storage devices, looking at Jiang Fan with tender eyes, and said, "I came specially to bring you something." Bring something. Jiang Fan was momentarily stunned, and the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master explained, "This is part of the Heavenly Clothes, Divine Water, and Anti-Void Pill materials I commissioned the 4 Seas Demon Emperors to collect." Only then did Jiang Fan realize, before he went to resolve various matters in Taikang State, he had commissioned the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master to gather materials for 2 kinds of spirit pills. Indeed, some materials needed the Sea Clan to gather. In just a few days, the 4 Seas had gathered them and sent them day after day. One can see the 4 Seas were very rushed in their preparations. Jiang Fan felt touched, cupped his fists, and said, "Thank you, Sister Yizhu." The Yizhu Demon Emperor looked at Jiang Fan, satisfied, and said, "In your current status, you're still willing to acknowledge me as your older sister. It makes my efforts worthwhile. Also, don't just thank me. This one is from me, this one is from the North Sea Demon Emperor, this one is from the West Sea Demon Emperor. These 2 are from Long-Legged One. I heard you needed alchemy materials." She was more eager than anyone. The old Dream Demon Emperor of the South Sea? Jiang Fan was stunned. Back when they parted on the continent, she held the demon infant fruit he gave, saying it was the dowry for marrying her in the next life, accepted in advance this lifetime. Unexpectedly, they never met again after that. Now, knowing Jiang Fan needed help, she was more attentive than anyone. But she was unwilling to personally see Jiang Fan, just asked the Yizhu Demon Emperor to pass it on. Jiang Fan accepted the 5 space storage devices, feeling heavy-hearted, and said, "Thank you. Sister Yizhu, stay a bit longer. Once I finish refining the spirit pills, you can take them back and distribute them." The Yizhu Demon Emperor looked at the slightly weary Jiang Fan with slight heartache. Jiang Fan was too exhausted. She stepped forward and dusted off the dust fallen on Jiang Fan's shoulder and said, "Don't worry about us, take good care of yourself. I don't want this to be our last meeting." Jiang Fan was moved and said, "Sister Yizhu as well. Take care of yourself and survive until the end." The Yizhu Demon Emperor nodded, and after exchanging a long gaze with Jiang Fan, bid farewell and left. Jiang Fan watched her disappear into the sky. Not for himself, but for the vast sea, for old friends on the continent. He must fight with all his strength. Wait! Jiang Fan suddenly remembered something and took out a snow-white spirit pill. It was the 100 spirit pill, which could improve the third princess's physical deformity. This spirit pill successfully restored Gu Zinner's deformed and enlarged chest to normal, proving it effective enough. However, the Yizhu demon emperor had already gone far away. No sign of her could be found. Forget it. As long as the East Sea third princess can survive, this spirit pill will have meaning. Once the battle is over, if she's still alive, and so am I, it won't be too late to give it to her. Putting away the 100 spirit pill, Jiang Fan held the 5 space storage devices firmly, scanning inside, finding them densely filled with the precious materials unique to the vast sea. The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master also took out 3 space storage devices. These were collected by various sects upon my request. Thanks to your reputation reaching the skies, everyone was willing to help. Especially the Jiang family and the Great Yin sect were particularly attentive. In Taikang State, all the anti-void pill and heavenly clothes divine water materials are here. The Jiang family, the Great Yin sect. Jiang Fan silently recited once, accepted the storage devices, and said, "I'll find time to refine the spirit pills." Let's go, meanwhile, on the Heavenly Mountain battlefield. In that void created by the great battle between the Heavenly Eye Sage and the Usura Emperor. The black chains binding the evil crow Venerable clicked off completely. The punishment from the great wine sacrifice had come to an end. The evil crow Venerable moved his body. The crow tattoos spreading from his face to his body emitted a gloomy black light. Just like his gaze now, extremely chill and sinister. You caused my imprisonment, robbed the body of my ancestor from the Yin Corpse lineage, and took my position as sect leader of the Great Yin sect. Jiang Fan, I won't stop until one of us is dead. The Kinshin Bureau. When Jiang Fan led the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion members there, outside the island was already filled to the brim, a vast expanse of dark heads. The 3 God sect, 7 great sects, and numerous others had converged here. All of them were nascent soul realm. Moreover, not just those capable of fighting ancient giants, but also many nascent soul early-stage martial artists had gathered here. A rough count revealed at least more than 2,000 people. Jiang Fan was secretly astounded to find there were so many nascent soul realms in Taikang State. It showed that in this total mobilization, the vast majority of the sects had poured everything into the fight. Unfortunately, among them, those at or above nascent soul middle stage only numbered 500 at best. In comparison to the Black Sun Royal Court's 1,000 ancient giants, there was an unbridgeable gap. Plus, there was an unknown central tribe army whose movements were unclear. This battle offered no glimpse of hope. At this moment, a figure shot out from the main island, humming with his nose. Old thing, your favor is too hard to repay. It took me 60 years, but I'm finally free. Everyone looked in unison, discovering a coarse-skinned, reddened old man flying out from the heartless residence of the Great Wine Sacrifice. Many people didn't recognize him, but Jiang Fan was very familiar with him. Slightly surprised, he said, "Isn't this the old man from the underground Palace of Fire worship sect?" If remembered correctly, he was an artifact refining master capable of crafting top-grade spiritual artifacts. Why was he at the Kinshin Bureau? And by the sound, was he talking to the Great Wine Sacrifice? Sacrifice was holding a horsetail whisk and walked out of the heartless residence. He smiled and said, "The wine isn't finished yet, why rush?" The red-faced old man replied irritably, "If I don't leave soon, you'll leave me here in Taikang State to be used like cattle." Before the Great Wine Sacrifice could catch up, he leapt away to the transmission island heading to Divine Weapon State. As he was about to leave, he suddenly sensed something and stopped, looking around. When he noticed the evil sword floating behind Jiang Fan, he couldn't help but be stunned and instantly teleported over, questioning, could this have been forged from that meteorite? Jiang Fan had some guesses about the identity of the red-faced old man. He quickly cupped his hands and said, "Reporting to the senior, this was crafted by seniors from Divine Weapon State." The red-faced old man blew his beard and glared, cursing, "A bunch of brats selling the family land without concern. Took all the good stuff from Divine Weapon State while I'm not around, didn't you?" "Wait." He suddenly felt the voice was familiar. Lowering his gaze to Jiang Fan's face, his eyes widened again. "It's you, little brat." He hadn't forgotten how Jiang Fan had fleeced him, selling him a yin chi radish at 100 times the price. Jiang Fan laughed awkwardly. "With destiny, we meet anywhere. "Senior, nice to see you," the red-faced old man grumbled. "Who cares to be fated with you? Taikang State has nothing good. One little swindler, one old swindler, all the losses in my life aren't even as much as from you two combined. I'm leaving, you two better die on the battlefield. I never want to see either of you again." After speaking, he didn't linger on the evil sword. Afraid of being fleeced by Jiang Fan again, he quickly left. As a huge beam of space light shot up, he completely left Taikang State. Jiang Fan looked speechless, got scolded out of nowhere. "If it weren't for him being an old bag of bones, I'd be lying on the ground right now." The people around twitched their mouths. Only Jiang Fan would dare say such things. That red-faced old man clearly was a top strongman from Divine Weapon State. Being on equal footing with the great wine sacrifice, without a divine ring on the back of his head. He was very likely a sage. What a pity, wanted to keep him in Taikang State to help us against the ancient giants. The great wine sacrifice sighed with regret and then looked around and said, "The state-level teleportation array closes before sunset. Hope everyone knows." Jiang Fan realized, no wonder the red-faced old man rushed to leave. He just remembered the great wine sacrifice had mentioned that after the ancient giants descended, to prevent the great state from becoming a stepping stone for the ancient giants. Therefore, when the war starts, teleportation arrays in 9 states will be closed. However, in that case, how would the states exchange information? While pondering, the great wine sacrifice smiled at Jiang Fan, his gaze falling on the evil sword behind him, and said, "Luckily he didn't notice the extraordinariness of your artifact spirit. Otherwise, he'd lose face and ask for the evil sword back today. Originally, he intended to create a quasi-realm artifact." Jiang Fan secretly clicked his tongue. Directly forging a quasi-realm artifact. No need to guess, the red-faced old man's strength is definitely virtuous realm. Very likely, like the compassionate sage, due to health issues or some reasons, unable to go to the battlefield where the Heavenly Eye sage went, he stayed in the Central Earth. Remembering that he had swindled him before, Jiang Fan felt guilty. He coughed dryly and changed the topic, saying, "Great wine sacrifice, shall we move the connecting sky black pillar now?" Green Pearl is still in the heavenly realm, waiting for the connecting sky black pillar to move before daring to return. Can't delay any longer. The great wine sacrifice nodded lightly and said, "I will make some arrangements first." He surveyed the crowd and said, "You will take the teleportation array to the central region of Taikang State. Gather outside the forbidden land of misfortune. Also, Nascent Soul Middle Stage and below, go to Commander Bai and Six-Path Masters to each receive a piece of equipment." As he finished speaking, the leading figures descended, Bai Xin and Six-Path Masters, each holding a large space storage device. Bai Xin waved his hand, and a series of devices extremely familiar to Jiang Fan appeared in view. Some are giant ballistae, some are cannons, and some are chariots equipped with blades. These, in the secret space of the Great Wall in the Boundary Mountain, Jiang Fan had seen before. They were the tools for the human clan to fight the ancient giants 1,000 years ago. Unfortunately, those devices in the space had been eroded by time, and once leaving the space, they crumbled to dust. Jiang Fan always wondered why Taikang State didn't bring those devices back into service in preparation for the ancient giants. It turns out, the Great Wine Sacrifice had invited a virtuous realm artifact refining master to create 60 years' worth of equipment for Taikang State. The Great Wine Sacrifice had started planning for today 60 years ago. He seemed to do nothing, but actually had everything under control, orchestrating the whole situation. Jiang Fan suddenly felt much more confident. These large devices have enormous kill potential against the ancient giants. If each of the more than 1,500 nascent soul early-stage martial artists had one, it could help bridge some of the strength gap with the ancient giants. If not for the Central Tribe's army, their odds of winning this battle would be very high. He was somewhat looking forward to the arrangements the Great Wine Sacrifice made for the connecting sky black pillar. Perhaps that forbidden land is another great killing device against the ancient giants. Once arranged, the Great Wine Sacrifice told Jiang Fan, "Let's go ahead together." Others could go straight to the Forbidden Land, but they needed to move the connecting sky black pillar first to the Forbidden Land. Thus, Jiang Fan bid farewell to the people of Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion and with the Great Wine Sacrifice, transmitted to the White Horse Temple. Then arrived at the northwest part of the White Horse Temple. The connecting sky black pillar was still there. Last time, each village relied on the connecting sky black pillar to descend. Thinking of this, Jiang Fan asked, Great wine sacrifice, have the Usura clan in the heavenly realm been well settled? He promised the tribes to properly settle their people. The great wine sacrifice said, settled on an island of vast sea, left them 10 late-stage nascent soul Usura strongmen. Unless Taikang state falls, they'll be very safe. Jiang Fan felt relieved. Without hesitation, he hugged the connecting sky-black pillar and under the guidance of the great wine sacrifice, quickly moved to the heart of Taikang state. Meanwhile, in the heavenly realm, beside the connecting sky-black pillar, Green Pearl, sitting cross-legged, felt the connecting sky-black pillar move and slowly opened her eyes. She sighed, "Little liar, you finally moved the connecting sky-black pillar. I've been away for so long, 5-star Giant King must have suspected me for sure. With his ability to foresee the future, he's probably figured out my whereabouts. You'll be the death of me." She showed a troubled expression, hesitating on whether to return. Going back with a fluke mentality, she might be exposed by the 5-star Giant King immediately, with unpredictable consequences. But if she doesn't return, she still has a wisp of soul in his hands. He can still kill her. Misfortune sage, after mulling over for a long time, she took out the head given to her by the great wine sacrifice and sighed softly. "I can only give it a try." If the 5-star Giant King truly wanted to kill her, he would have wiped her out with that strand of soul power long ago. The fact that she was still alive showed that the 5-star Giant King harbored no killing intent. She silently followed the connecting sky-black pillar. As soon as the connecting sky-black pillar stopped, she would pretend that she had just come down following it. Central Earth, the Heartland. Enveloped in black fog, the ruins of an ancient city 1,000 years old faintly appeared. Gazing intently, several skeletal remains as smooth as jade lay quietly around the ruins. Jiang Fan, carrying the connecting sky-black pillar, halted in front of the ruins. Staring at the black fog ahead, he took out a broken, low-grade spiritual artifact from the heavenly mountain battlefield from his space storage device. He tossed it in casually. The calm black fog suddenly came alive like a beast, enveloping the artifact. Fizz, 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 though as strong as a spiritual artifact, it was rapidly corroded, changing color and gradually melting. Jiang Fan clicked his tongue in secret. Great wine sacrifice, how was this forbidden land formed? Although somewhat expected, the forbidden land was known as such because it was extremely perilous. But to even corrode a low-grade spiritual artifact was beyond his expectations. The corrosive power was so strong that even a divinity transformation realm expert couldn't linger in it for long. Otherwise, even if they survived, they would be severely harmed by corrosion. As for the nascent soul realm, it goes without saying. They would easily be corroded into a puddle of blood. The great wine sacrifice looked compassionate. The misfortune sage's fall sight. His remains triggered a nearby great change in heaven and earth, creating the forbidden land. Those entering will be affected by residual misfortune laws even if their bodies are not corroded. The misfortune sage. Jiang Fan recalled that Princess of Beihai, Jai Qingshuan, had given him a piece of misfortune broken bone before departing, claiming it was obtained from the most dangerous place in Taikang state. Could that misfortune broken bone have originated from the misfortune sage's magic body? At this moment, the great wine sacrifice added, "Place the connecting sky-black pillar at the forbidden land center. Force the ancient giant to descend within the forbidden land while we confront them from outside." Jiang Fan rapidly analyzed. The forbidden land isn't large, only covering the range of an ancient city 1,000 years old. With the terrifying physique of the ancient giant, it could at most escape in 10+ breaths, but even those breaths would be enough to corrode them till their skin breaks. If unlucky, corrosion reaches the eyes, causing them to lose direction and spin in circles, eventually rotting into a blood pool. Even if they successfully escape, they will be wounded. The martial army of Taikang state would then confront them at full strength. Moreover, they had over 500 nascent soul middle stage experts, and even those in the initial period were equipped with powerful killing devices. Under siege, it's easy to imagine the outcome of the battle. Jiang Fan's eyes grew increasingly bright. What initially seemed a formidable battle now held endless hope. Great wine sacrifice has planned masterfully. I deeply admire. Jiang Fan bowed respectfully. He genuinely admired him. A deadlock turned alive by the great wine sacrifice. Ha ha ha! The great wine sacrifice laughed in surprise. If this battle is won, everyone in Taikang state should thank you most. Your ability to move the connecting sky-black pillar is the key to turning the tide. Merely having ancient killing devices from 1,000 years ago, victory would be uncertain. But with this forbidden land, we gain the upper hand. Jiang Fan was immensely stirred, declaring, "No time for delay, I'll immediately move the connecting sky-black pillar inside. Please lend your aid, Great Wine Sacrifice." The Great Wine Sacrifice, holding a horsetail whisk, stepped into the forbidden land. As he passed, the black fog parted automatically. Without turning his head, he said, "You possess Thunderbolt Origin and Fire Dao Origin, allowing you to briefly resist the black fog's and misfortune's intrusion. But don't tarry for too long." Oh, Jiang Fan was surprised. Can Thunderbolt Origin and Fire Dao Origin briefly protect him? His eyes glimmered, noting it secretly, then closely followed the Great Wine Sacrifice into the forbidden land. He sharply noticed the moment they advanced, those skeletal remains as smooth as jade started moving. This startled Jiang Fan. Could they still be alive? The Great Wine Sacrifice sighed slightly. They were the Misfortune Sage's beloved companions. After the Misfortune Sage's demise, they came to guard his remains until they too faded away here. Now, only some lingering obsessions remain. If you don't disturb the Misfortune Sage's remains, they won't attack. Jiang Fan felt a solemn respect at these words. The Misfortune Sage must have been respected during his life, surely. That's why his beloved companions would guard his remains unwaveringly until death. Why wouldn't they lay the Misfortune Sage to rest peacefully? Jiang Fan asked again. The Great Wine Sacrifice replied, "It was the Misfortune Sage's own wish. He left his sage body significant treasures to benefit future generations. Later, if you're lucky, take away his treasures." Jiang Fan felt a deep admiration. Even in death, the Misfortune Sage still considered future generations. He thought of the owner of the jade paper heavenly book, the Heavenly Eye Sage, the twin sages, Baekshuan Sword Master, and those human clan martyrs who had fallen on the heavenly mountain battlefield. The forebears used their bodies, their blood, to pave a path continuing for millennia. They too should emulate the forebears, paving a new path for future generations. Jiang Fan's resolve grew firmer. While pondering, he followed the Great Wine Sacrifice into the center of the forbidden land. The black fog here was denser. Using all his eyesight, Jiang Fan finally saw the ancient corpse suspended above the ancient city. A millennium had passed, his flesh remained intact. A tattered cloak fluttered wildly in the cold wind, thick black hair flying wildly. His eyes wide open, gazing at distant lands, his left hand pointing far ahead, the right hand pressed on a pitch-black ancient stone tablet. Boundless battle intent encircled around, as if he had traversed from a battlefield thousands of years ago, still engaged in a fierce battle with strong foes. Yet, a blood-colored spear 10 fathoms long pierced through his chest. That blood-colored spear contained destruction beyond measure. Jiang Fan felt numerous negative emotions surge just by glimpsing it. Rage, slaughter, greed, and so forth mushroomed madly. His eyes turned red rapidly. This scene mirrored precisely when he first saw the blood pool. What else needs to be said about the blood-colored spear? The Great Wine Sacrifice waved his sleeve, severing the connection with the blood-colored spear, cautioning, "Don't look at that spear. Staring too long turns you into an ancient giant." Jiang Fan's breath steadied, feeling a silent awe. He wasn't afraid of this object because he possessed a holy crystal whose sacred power could purify the spear's effect. His awe arose from the spear's capability to kill a sage. "Who acted back then?" Jiang Fan inquired. The Great Wine Sacrifice remained silent for a moment before slowly answering. "The 9-day giant emperor." Jiang Fan's pupils shrank intensely. On that day, the giant king possessed by the remnant soul of the Heavenly Eye Sage had only 2 suns on his forehead. Wasn't the so-called 9-day giant emperor the mightiest among the giant emperors? Only one step away from becoming a boundary master. 1,000 years ago, how did we in Central Earth actually win? He couldn't figure out how, in an era without saints, a 9-day giant emperor close to a saint descended upon Central Earth. Who could stop him? Even the powerful Misfortune Sage was killed with a single spear. The Great Wine Sacrifice turned his head to look at Jiang Fan with a meaningful gaze. Luck. By luck. Jiang Fan didn't understand how such a life-and-death battle between races could be won by mere luck. He gazed deeply at the remains of the Tribulation Sage. Jiang Fan clasped his hands together and said, "Sorry for disturbing you, ancestors." He carried the connecting sky-black pillar and placed it at the center of the ruins. Here, the black mist was the thickest, causing the greatest harm to the ancient giants. However, when he approached the Tribulation Sage, Jiang Fan suddenly frowned. He stared at the Tribulation Sage's neck and said with furrowed eyebrows, "Great wine sacrifice, what is that?" There were 2 deep holes on the neck. They looked like they had been bitten by some animal. The Great Wine Sacrifice glanced and said, "It's the Usura Saint Son you've been looking for." "What?" Jiang Fan's face changed dramatically. Had the Usura Saint Son drained the blood of the sage from the Tribulation Sage? Indeed, the Tribulation Sage belonged to the bloodthirsty Shura lineage, surviving by consuming the blood of all beings alike to that QE star Usura. Being a hell creature, the cultivation resources of Central Earth had little effect on the Usura Saint Son. But the essence blood of a sage was enough for him to rapidly increase his strength and break through multiple bottlenecks. Jiang Fan was burning with rage. The corpse of the Tribulation Sage was left for the people of Central Earth, yet the Usura Saint Son had stolen its essence blood. He looked towards the Great Wine Sacrifice, complaining, "Nothing major happens in Taikang State that escapes your eyes. Why did you let the Usura Saint Son drain the Tribulation Sage's essence blood and seize the fortune of Taikang State without stopping it?" Taikang State fell from being one of the top 3 states in Central Earth to the bottom, mainly because of the fortune seizure incident several hundred years ago. Why didn't the Great Wine Sacrifice, being in the virtuous realm, stop it? Instead, he allowed the Usura Saint Son to act recklessly. The Great Wine Sacrifice said calmly, "Indeed, no major event in Taikang State escapes my eyes. But what if someone covers my eyes?" Jiang Fan was shocked. Could someone capable of shielding the Great Wine Sacrifice's perception be a saint from Central Earth? Is there someone among the 9 saints who... He glanced at the sky in apprehension, hinting. The Great Wine Sacrifice understood his meaning, shook his head, and said, "If the 9 saints were to betray Central Earth, why bother with such trouble?" Jiang Fan paused, agreeing. They were the ancient saints who created Central Earth. Their every action could alter its fate. If anyone among them intended to betray, they could easily wipe out all beings with a single thought. No need to secretly collude with the Hell Realm. Then what are they aiming for? Jiang Fan was puzzled. The Great Wine Sacrifice sighed. "I can't figure it out either. People's hearts are unpredictable, let alone the heart of a saint. But I believe they must be plotting something that will have implications for the entirety of Central Earth." Jiang Fan slowly nodded. The sacrifice of Taikang State's fortune over hundreds of years must not be for small matters. He let go and said, "All right then, since it's arranged by the saints, I have nothing more to say. Let's hope the sacrifice of Taikang State will not be in vain." Suddenly, he recalled the misfortune broken bone. As he contemplated, he took it out. Staring at the piece of bone in his hand, he murmured, "This couldn't possibly be the misfortune sage's bone, could it?" How young is Jai Qingshuan's realm? She couldn't even enter the Forbidden Land. And moving the remains of the Tribulation Sage in front of a pile of Divinity Transformation realm skeletons. That's even more unrealistic, right? However, the moment the broken bone was brought out, the remains of the Tribulation Sage seemed to react. The cloak fluttered loudly, revealing the chest. His abdomen was cut open, missing 2 ribs, one of which matched the one in Jiang Fan's hand. This... Jiang Fan was bewildered. How did Jai Qingshuan manage to do that? Moreover, was the sage's bone so easy to break? The Great Wine Sacrifice noticed and glanced over, saying, "The princess from the North Sea gave it to you, didn't she? Only she could enter the Forbidden Land as if it's uninhabited." Jiang Fan didn't know what to say. The woman who liked reading, acquiring worldly knowledge, always claiming the sky was raining, constantly carrying the umbrella, had such a storied background. He rubbed his brow and said, "Next time we meet, I surely must ask him properly. Let's leave." He looked at the stone tablet pressed by the Tribulation Sage without any greed. It should be the misfortune god steel as described by the Great Wine Sacrifice. Even the Usura Saint Son, who drank the blood of the misfortune sage, didn't take away this heavy treasure, indicating the deadly danger it contained. At crucial moments, it's better not to be greedy. The Great Wine Sacrifice also observed the stone steel, sensed it for a while, and said, "Indeed, the opportunity has yet to come. This stone steel seals a sage's strike from the misfortune sage. Not advisable to tamper with it for now." Hiss. Jiang Fan's scalp tingled slightly. He was right. This stone steel was likely left by the misfortune sage as a means for future generations to deal with the giant emperor. If utilized properly, it could annihilate a powerful ancient giant. The 2 left the Forbidden Land. Experts from various sects have gradually arrived. The Great Wine Sacrifice immediately began arranging deployments, based on the strength, numbers, and cultivation technique characteristics of each sect's experts, centered around the Forbidden Land, striving to ensure the ancient giants can be engaged in battle near the Forbidden Land, preventing them from spreading throughout Taikang State. The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion was positioned directly towards the east, with Kingly Mountain behind it. If this direction was breached, the ancient giants would drive straight in, slaughtering all the way to Kingly Mountain. In addition, in the east direction, there were also the Fire Worship Sect and several other medium and small sects. Their sects were also located in the east. Even if it wasn't for the common good, for their own sects, they would fight with all their might. Taking advantage of the deployment interval, Jiang Fan seized this last bit of time to start refining spirit pills. He simply set up an isolation array and took out the materials for the anti-void spirit pill and heavenly clothes divine water to refine pills on site. After more than half a day, only 3 two-hour periods were left before the ancient giants descended. All sect experts had been arranged, but some important people were still missing. Suddenly, a wave of apprehension swept through all atorifious nascent soul experts present. Within them, madness seemed to show signs of becoming uncontrollable. They focused their gaze. Beside the great wine sacrifice, a burly middle-aged man appeared at some point, with lightning coursing over him, notably the heart demon Venerable. Everyone's hearts trembled slightly. The first Venerable of Taikang State had arrived. Thought I'd be the last to arrive. Those few, one has a bigger aura than the other, the heart demon Venerable said irritably, as soon as the words were spoken. Suddenly, the heavens and earth were enveloped in Buddha light, turning the sight into a splendid golden hue. A vast Buddha phantom appeared, seated cross-legged, suspended in the air. A magnetic and slow voice leisurely emanated, "Merciful Buddha, compassion for all beings." Everyone was invigorated once more. The strongest divinity transformation Venerable in Taikang State had arrived. Buddhism preaches compassion for 1,000 years, but when it's time to protect all beings, don't drag your feet. The giant Buddha's shadow clasped its hands together, saying, "The Buddha saves all sentient beings. It is an unshirkable duty." Heart Demon Venerable was unimpressed. Suddenly he seemed to sense something and gazed towards the horizon. His eyes showed a hint of surprise. Such a strong oppression? He saw a 9-colored rainbow spanning the heavens and earth. Upon the rainbow, a middle-aged man in a white robe, with an air of righteous grandeur, came carrying a sword box on his back. He swept across to the front of everyone, cupping his hands in salute. Heart Demon Venerable looked at him in surprise. "You went to the demon continent and gained a lot, didn't you? Not only is your foundation solid, but you seem to have a power that surpasses us old generation divinity transformation venerables." Even the Bodhisattva with a smile looked him over and clasped his hands. "Congratulations, Jiang, on your significant progress in strength." The newcomer was naturally Jiang Wuya. He humbly said, "It's thanks to my sworn brother, Jiang Fan, that I received generous rewards from the Golden Scale Venerate." Jiang Fan? Heart Demon Venerable and the Bodhisattva glanced at Jiang Fan, who was in the midst of alchemy, their expressions somewhat complex. Whether it was by coincidence or because Jiang Fan possessed some indescribable heavenly mechanism, everyone who got close to him received fortunes. The entire Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion broke through to the nascent soul realm, which was already a miracle in Taikang State. Jiang Wuya, who had been trapped in the 9-aperture nascent soul for years, unable to awaken, successfully transformed into divinity on Jiang Fan's guidance. Now, after a trip to the demon continent where he met Jiang Fan, he again gained opportunities and greatly improved his strength. On the other hand, Heart Demon Venerable and the Bodhisattva, having no animosity nor friendship with Jiang Fan, remained stagnant. However, Heart Demon Venerable quickly regained his composure. Suddenly, a sharp caw of a crow came from the sky, and the evil crow Venerable, clad in a black robe, gloomily stepped through the air. Heart Demon Venerable couldn't help but gloat, "Evil crow, how's the taste of reflection?" If he and the Bodhisattva hadn't gained benefits, then Evil Crow Venerable, an enemy of Jiang Fan, was truly out of luck. Locked up by the Heavenly Eye Sage for 2 whole months, he became the laughingstock of Taikang State. By comparison, he and the Bodhisattva were much more fortunate. Evil Crow Venerable's face turned even gloomier. Despite the presence of the great wine sacrifice, he shouted, "Jiang Fan, get out here." The sound shook the entire area, causing the blood and energy of those in the nascent soul realm to churn, their bodies stiffening. The powerful aura made it hard to breathe. Heart Demon Venerable frowned and shouted, "What madness is this? With great enemies at hand, what's the point of harming your own?" He immediately acted, dispersing Evil Crow Venerable's voice and aura, protecting everyone. Evil Crow Venerable said coldly, "Who told that little brat Jiang Fan to hide?" Before he could finish his sentence, a cold and indifferent voice came from the sky. "Are you blind? Can't you see I'm right here?" This voice, which made Evil Crow Venerable gnash his teeth, was all too familiar to him. His gaze followed the voice, while his mouth unleashed a storm of killing intent. Jiang Fan. Fixing his eyes, he saw. On the ground, Jiang Fan had lifted a barrier restriction and was sitting cross-legged, slowly tidying up various bottles and jars. Without lifting his head, he said, "Is this how you reflected on Heavenly Eye Sage's command? Seems like your self-reflection wasn't deep enough." Evil Crow Venerable laughed angrily. "Good, good, good. Haven't seen you for 2 months, and you've grown bold enough to speak to me like this. An insignificant ant, lawless as you are, I've come to teach you a lesson. If anyone dares to interfere, don't blame me for being rude." He glared menacingly at Heart Demon Venerable, the Bodhisattva, and Jiang Wuya, warning them not to intervene. Curiously, they all appeared calm. The Bodhisattva continued to smile, saying nothing. Jiang Wuya stood with hands behind his back, silently observing. Heart Demon Venerable not only didn't stop him, but showed a gloating expression. This left Evil Crow Venerable momentarily stunned. Why? Was Jiang Fan untouchable? Would the Great Wine Sacrifice protect Jiang Fan? Come to think of it, the Great Wine Sacrifice did show a lot of care for Jiang Fan. His face turned somber as he swept his gaze around, noticing the Great Wine Sacrifice meticulously setting up the battlefield, paying no attention to the activity here. A vicious glint flashed in his eyes. He might not kill Jiang Fan, but he must make him pay. At that moment, Jiang Fan had finished with the pills and slowly stood up. He coldly looked at Evil Crow Venerable, saying, "Respected Venerables, do not stop him. Let him come at me head-on." He still remembered, back at Washing Moon Lake, how Evil Crow Venerable had almost killed him because he bore traces of the Yin Corpse skill. At that time, he had just entered the nascent soul realm. Under Evil Crow Venerable's powerful aura, he couldn't even move a finger, like an ant ready to be crushed. It was under the protection of True Word Venerable that he survived. The humiliation he recalled to this day. Evil Crow Venerable laughed in anger. "You are indeed audacious. Do you think because of the sage's inscription you've become someone important? Let me tell you, when the Heavenly Eye Sage is around, I respect you somewhat. When he's not, I'll kill you like slaughtering a dog." Having said that, his figure vanished into thin air, using instantaneous movement to attack Jiang Fan. Evil Crow Venerable was confident that against a nascent soul realm like Jiang Fan, flashy attacks were unnecessary. A unique instantaneous movement of the divinity transformation realm was already an irresistible killing move for Jiang Fan. He merely needed a casual slap to flatten him like a stray dog. However, the wind origin within Jiang Fan had long been activated. Evil Crow Venerable's instantaneous movement trajectory was clear to him. With a casual gesture, Purple Thunder, Tinksu, and Evil Sword immediately flew out to form a 3-color divine rainbow, then accurately slashed 3 feet behind him. Splatter, blood flew, and in space, a blood-stained palm flew off. Immediately afterward, Evil Crow Venerable's figure fell out. He raised his arm, gazing at the bleeding severed hand, eyes filled with confusion and doubt. Only after 2 breaths did the delayed pain show on his face. "Hiss-ah!" Clutching his wrist, he gasped in pain and exclaimed in shock and anger, You're courting death." He could never have imagined that Jiang Fan could capture his trajectory, even directly sever his hand. And it happened right in front of nearly all the nascent soul and divinity transformation realm individuals of Taikang State. Where was his dignity, his face? His eyes shot out killing intent, roaring, "I will have you dead." Seeing that he was about to make another move, the Feng Yuan sect's member from the Great Yin sect was startled. He couldn't watch his Venerable get slashed and hurriedly flew up, bravely saying in a low voice, "Venerable, please hold your hand." Evil Crow Venerable was even more furious seeing his own people blocking him. "You bastard. I am wounded and you turn against me. Do you take him for your Great Yin sect master? Get out of my way, or I'll kill you too." Feng Yuan sect was shaken, his blood boiling, and spat a mouthful of blood. Enduring the intense pain, he quickly said, "Venerable, the one who will die is you." "I can't compare to that, Junior. You ungrateful wretch." With a murderous intent, he raised his palm, ready to strike Feng Yuan sect down. Feng Yuan Sek's heart was in his throat, and he quickly said, Senior Jiang has killed many in the divinity transformation realm. Evil Crow Venerable's palm stopped in midair. He frowned and said in a low voice, Say that again. He suspected he might have heard wrong. Jiang Fan can kill those in the divinity transformation realm, and many of them. Could it be like the heavenly realm defeating the space giant king, taking advantage of an opportunity? Feng Yuan Sect swallowed hard, quickly adding, Venerable, you have been on the heavenly mountain battlefield, unaware of the outside world. A month ago, Senior Jiang consecutively killed Venerate Zinni and a 2-star giant king. Half a month ago, he visited Heavenly Heritage City in returning ruins state and slaughtered half the Dharma image realm half-giants. Killing those in the divinity transformation realm has become routine for him. You'd better be careful, the world outside has changed. Wah, what? Evil Crow Venerable's eyes gradually widened. Jiang Fan killed Venerate Zinni, that was a venerable of young Emperor Mountain, extremely powerful, and a 2-star giant king fell into his hands. Not only that, he went to Heavenly Heritage City and wiped out a few divinity transformation realm half-giants. Gulp, his Adam's apple bobbed, feeling a sense of dread. Jiang Fan has become this formidable. He suddenly felt a sense of temporal dislocation. Did he really just spend 2 months in confinement at the Heavenly Mountain battlefield, not 2 years? In just 2 short months, Jiang Fan transformed from a small figure he could easily crush to a god of death he must respect. Since when did the world become a place where a nascent soul could effortlessly slaughter those in the divinity transformation realm? Before he went into confinement, the divinity transformation realm was the ruler of all things. It's just your big mouth, step back. On the ground, Jiang Fan shouted at Feng Yuan Sect, then coldly stared at Evil Crow Venerable. Continue. Evil Crow Venerable shuddered slightly, looking at Jiang Fan again. The killing intent in his eyes receded like the tide. How could he dare to be presumptuous now? Killing one Venerate Zinni might be luck. But how about killing a 2-star giant king and slaughtering half-giants in Heavenly Heritage City? But to be the one calling for a fight and the one retreating, how embarrassing is that? He glanced at Heart Demon Venerable, giving him a look, hoping to get some help in backing down. Heart Demon Venerable crossed his arms with a half-sneer and said, I'm always good at giving advice. You told me not to stop you just now, so I won't. Feel free to fight. I won't stop you even if I die. Evil Crow Venerable was internally cursing. He finally understood why Heart Demon, Bodhisattva, and Jiang Wuya weren't stopping him. It wasn't out of fear. They all wanted to see him make a fool of himself. Now, with no one to hold the ropes, he could only grit his teeth and find a way to back down gracefully. Cough, Jiang Daoyu, with the battle imminent, let's just leave it at that. Jiang Fan scoffed, showing no respect. You old coward who bullies the weak, make sure to open your eyes next time before you bully someone. Evil Crow Venerable's face turned blue and red. He felt utterly aggrieved. But what could he do with the situation at hand? He had to act like he hadn't heard anything, returning to the great Yin sect disciples, venting his anger on them. Look at yourselves, it's been 2 months. Have you made any progress? Feng Yuan Sect, why are you still at the 3 apertures nascent soul? Are you living up to your master's expectations? Feng Yuan Sect scratched his head and said, Venerable, I was at the 2nd stage nascent soul before. Thanks to Jiang Sect master's kindness, I've advanced a realm. Evil Crow Venerable's expression stiffened. He then snorted, I wasn't talking to you, why are you so excited? I was talking to you, Elder Chen, why do you only have 2 corpse bags left? Under my guidance, you used to have 9 corpse bags. Why are you regressing with your cultivation? Elder Chen sheepishly responded. Reporting to Venerable, the previous Yin corpses were all low-level, 3 apertures nascent soul ones. Thanks to Jiang Sect Master's generosity, sharing the Yin corpse refining technique and corpse control technique, everyone has switched to higher-tier Yin corpses. Those low-level Yin corpses are no longer wanted. You... Evil Crow Venerable was rendered speechless. He looked at Elder Chen, then at the other elders. Without exception, all of them upgraded their arsenals. Even the ordinary disciples had their own gains, either advancing in cultivation or improving their cultivation technique. Much better than when he was overseeing the great Yin sect. Evil Crow Venerable felt his face lose its honor and said sternly, Let's not mention the past. From now on, everyone will follow my commands. When I tell you to fight, you fight. When I tell you to retreat, you retreat. You must follow orders without question, understood? He shouted with authority, but the great Yin sect disciples remained silent, unresponsive. Evil Crow Venerable got angry and said, Are you all deaf? The crowd trembled, and Feng Yuan sect, with a pounding heart, said, Venerable, Jiang sect master has yet to speak. Evil Crow Venerable couldn't believe his ears. Does this mean they acknowledge only Jiang Fan, not him, the divinity transformation venerable of the great Yin sect? He said in a deep voice, Say that again? Feng Yuan sect felt as if he was crushed by a massive mountain, the pain excruciating. SHH, a three-color divine rainbow swept across, slashing toward Evil Crow Venerable with unstoppable power. The latter's expression changed as he hurriedly used instantaneous movement to dodge. Turning back, he saw Jiang Fan controlling the sword array, appearing in front of Feng Yuan sect, patting him on the shoulder and saying, Not a waste of this sect's nurturing you. Follow this sect and you won't be shortchanged. Evil Crow Venerable was infuriated and shouted, Jiang Fan, are you planning to take over my great Yin sect? Jiang Fan glanced at him sideways and said, Isn't it obvious? The great Yin sect rather wants to be under my leadership, so get lost. Evil Crow Venerable's eyes were full of fury. The great Yin sect was his life's work, his foundation. How could he let it be taken? He glared at Feng Yuan sect and the others, threatening, Think carefully. Will you follow me or Jiang Fan? After all, he was the divinity transformation venerable of the great Yin sect, genuinely capable of protecting them on the battlefield. As for Jiang Fan, he was barely managing the heavenly mechanism pavilion. Could he really take care of them? Jiang Fan chuckled softly. He casually tossed 2 jade bottles to Feng Yuan sect. Each contains 50 anti-void pills and heavenly clothes divine water. Distribute them among everyone. Keep the leftovers for yourself. Give them to whoever needs them in battle. If not enough, come to me for more. Feng Yuan sect caught them, slightly bewildered. He was still young and did not know much about the spirit pills. Anti-void pills and heavenly clothes divine water were unfamiliar to him, unaware of their value. However, the nascent soul realm elders behind him all exclaimed in shock. Anti-void spirit pills, a 5th-grade spirit pill that replenishes nascent soul power. These are top-level pills from Dan State. Wait. Heavenly clothes, divine water, isn't this the best healing medicine from our Taikang state? It has miraculous effects of regenerating white bone. These are invaluable top-tier spirit pills. Since the news of the ancient giant's arrival, Dan State has stopped selling such pills externally. Only those with great prowess could procure them. Jiang sect master, sending 50 each just like that. This act truly shocked the great Yin sect disciples. Feng Yuan sect finally realized the extraordinary nature of these pills. Pill excitedly and knelt down. Jiang sect master, we swear to follow you to the death. There are 2 types of heaven-defying great pills that allow them to fight again after exhaustion. Even if heavily injured, they can recover on the spot. On the battlefield, this is equivalent to having a second life. It's countless times stronger than the hollow promises of Evil Crow Venerable. He didn't choose the wrong thigh to hold on to. Evil Crow Venerable's face turned black, glaring viciously at the people of the great Yin sect. Feng Yuan sect twitched and coughed. Venerable, you are also a venerable we admire. We also want to return to your embrace. But Jiang sect master has given too much. Evil Crow Venerable was so furious, he shouted. You take care of yourselves. If you die on the battlefield, don't blame me for not saving you. Jiang Fan chuckled. You should worry about yourself. Just a reminder. Don't blindly refine ancient giants into yin corpses. The Giant King has the ability to regenerate from a drop of blood. Beware of backlash. The ancient giant he used to exchange for Evil Crow Venerable's star-shifting cultivation technique should have been refined into a yin corpse by now, right? That ancient giant survived for 1,000 years by absorbing the essence blood of the cold Giant King. Once the essence blood inside encounters the Giant King's star, there's a chance of regeneration. At that time, a sudden strike against Evil Crow Venerable. He might not respond in time. No matter how loath he is, he's still the divinity transformation venerable of Taikang state. If he dies, the core force against ancient giants will lose a part. Thus, Jiang Fan kindly reminded him. Evil Crow Venerable lost enough face today. How could he accept Jiang Fan's favor? He glared coldly and said chillingly, It's none of your business. HMPH? Then he flashed away to another place. Jiang Fan said indifferently, Take care of yourself. Hey kid, we have a pretty good relationship, right? Heart Demon Venerable flew over, his eyes shining. In the face of catastrophe, the anti-void spirit pill and heavenly clothes divine water means so much. Venerable can see more clearly. Each one means a little more hope for survival for the disciples. And with the disciples alive, 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple still has a future. A bodhisattva stepped out of the giant Buddha's shadow, palms together. Master Jiang, this humble monk wishes to form an affinity. Jiang Fan glanced at the two. Heart Demon Venerable nearly cost him his life, and the bodhisattva recently pursued him all across the world to enlighten him. Now, they have the nerve to talk about friendship and forming affinity. But he still gave each 10 anti-void spirit pills and heavenly clothes divine waters. The same principle applies with a little more strength. Taikang State has a little more hope. Heart Demon Venerable and Bodhisattva were content. Jiang Fan was kind enough to give. How could they complain? The disciples of 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple and White Horse Temple were all proud. They have the divinity transformation Venerable and Bodhisattva coming forward to request pills. Not every sect has such a reputation. Especially those like Sanking Mountain and Divine Movement sect, who don't get along well with Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan didn't intend to distribute to all sects. He had to take care of his own people first. Scanning the area, he saw the fire worship sect not far away and noticed Qian Lan Ferry and Yun Hu hadn't come. He couldn't help but step forward and inquire, "Are my martial uncle and aunt well?" Thinking about it, he hadn't heard any news from them for a long time. Since the establishment of Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, they showed support and then never met again. The fire worship sect leader explained with a smile, "After acquiring your dragon marrow seed, Qian Lan Ferry and Yun Hu are in closed-door cultivation. They've just broken through and their foundation is unstable, so I arranged for them to stay at the sect." Jiang Fan heard the underlying meaning clearly. The current battle is perilous. The fire worship sect leader leaving them in the sect is essentially to protect them, indirectly doing Jiang Fan a favor. He silently cupped his hands in thanks. Then he took out 10 anti-void spirit pills and heavenly clothes divine waters, handing them to the fire worship sect leader. The fire worship sect leader was overjoyed, cupped his hands. "Thank you, Jiang Dao Yu." Heart Demon Venerable and Bodhisattva pulled a face, only getting 20 pills. Simply for taking care of Qian Lan Ferry and Yun Hu, yet they got 20 pills too. No wonder they always said Jiang Fan values loyalty and righteousness. "Thank you, Jiang Dao Yu." Jiang Fan nodded, then came to the Jiang family. Jiang Lianjing led the entire clan's nascent soul realm members. Even a few 9 aperture nascent souls were brought over unconscious. Jiang Fan naturally wasn't stingy with the Jiang family. Jiang clan leader on the battlefield, make sure to take care. He took out 20 spirit pills and handed them to Jiang Lianjing. Jiang Lianjing was full of gratitude, turned around and dragged Jiang Linyuan over. "You little brat, what are you dazing for? Senior Jiang is doing this for your sake, aren't you going to properly thank him?" The tone was stern, but his eyes were filled with pride. He had never thought highly of this junior in the clan. Neither bad nor good in aptitude, and not part of the clan's direct line. Yet, he unexpectedly managed to establish a connection with Jiang Fan early on. Now, thanks to this connection, they've received as many as 20 precious treasure pills. If the Jiang family can survive, Jiang Linyuan will have at least 2 parts of the credit to his name. Jiang Linyuan bowed, "Senior Jiang, words cannot express my gratitude. I'll marry my sister to you." Jiang Fan kicked him humorously, scolding with a laugh. "I'll give your sister a stronger hammer in return." Watching the two joking around, Jiang Linyu sighed softly in the distance. Jiang Weishuang and her brother are truly lucky to have befriended Jiang Fan before he attained the Tao. If after this battle they and Jiang Fan survive, the Jiang family will likely elevate them as the core of the clan. Following that, Jiang Fan sent a batch of spirit pills to the Kinshin Bureau. He wasn't stingy with them, giving 1 to each person. Bai Xin received 2 extra. "In the battle, take care of yourself." Jiang Fan looked at Bai Xin in silver-white soft armor, hair tied up with strands falling by her ears. Such a righteous person, if they fell on the battlefield, he would regret it infinitely. Why give her 2 separately? What are your intentions?" The 6-path masters came rushing, eyeing Jiang Fan warily, saying, "Commander Bai, beware of those offering unsolicited hospitality. Don't be fooled by this guy's small favors. He's quite adept at wooing women. Don't fall for it." Jiang Fan's mouth twitched. This old mule, forgotten the camaraderie and brotherhood they shared with a daughter on the line. Now treating him like a thief. Bai Xin extended her hand, taking the 2 spirit pills, a faint smile rising in her normally indifferent eyes. "Thank you, take care as well." Compared to before where she lacked emotion, she was showing more humanity. obviously only towards Jiang Fan, but it was a notable change. Jiang Fan nodded, then glanced at the wary Six-Path Masters, saying, "As for you, the sooner you're reborn, the better." The Six-Path Masters glared and huffed. "You brat, as long as you don't die, I won't die either." Both had a fate marked by death. It was hard to say who would go first. Finally, Jiang Fan returned to the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion crowd. Previously, they already had anti-void spirit pills, so Jiang Fan distributed one heavenly clothes divine water to each. Gu Zinner watched with a bleeding heart. Jiang Fan really gave away the heavenly clothes divine water for free. She had stored up 10 heavenly clothes divine waters, all consumed herself. She took out a black notebook, scribbling names furiously, clenching her teeth. "Damn Jiang Fan, stupid Jiang Fan, made me go bankrupt, I won't forgive you." Fan thought for a moment and then took out the Saint Crystal. This holy and miraculous crystal, capable of reversing the form of the ancient giants, had not been forgotten by Jiang Fan. According to the information he obtained, among the 1,000 ancient giants, half had been transformed from the Asura clan. If during the Great Battle they could transform these ancient giants back to the Asura clan, the pressure would greatly decrease. Unfortunately, there is only one crystal. It cannot cover everyone. He can only leave it to the members of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion for desperate situations. In case an ancient giant forces them to a dead end, they can try applying this onto it. If the giant happens to be transformed from the Asura clan, perhaps it would cease its attack. Thinking about this, he pinched his 5 fingers and crushed the crystal into powder, then distributed it to every member of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. Consider it as their last life-saving item. Finally, Jiang Fan took out the Ghost Soul Crystal and the Space Mirror. Inside the Ghost Soul Crystal were the souls of Jiao Huangyin and Xianxia. One was a former member of the White Bone Alliance, the other a protector of Sanking Mountain. Jiang Fan opened the Ghost Soul Crystal and spoke indifferently. "Past grievances are written off. Today, I set you free. You both can seek bodies on your own and be reborn through possession. If you can contribute to the battle against the ancient giants, it would be best. If not, it's your choice." Compared to the ancient giants, which are world-ending threats, the grievances he has with the two are negligible. Jiao Huangyin bowed and sighed. "Thank you, Jiang Daoyu, for willing to give me a way out. I did many bad things in the past. Now, with a great tribulation upon us, I will redeem my past mistakes." After speaking, he flashed and vanished into the void. Xianxia also sighed slightly, bowing. "If Central Earth is destroyed, how would a remnant soul like me survive? My remnant soul will be consumed on the battlefield." At once, he too vanishes into the void. Once the great battle begins, many will surely perish. They won't lack suitable bodies for possession. After setting them free, Jiang Fan poured out 2 more individuals from the Space Mirror. One is the new Taoist leader of Sanking Mountain, Xuanyi Master. His physical body remains intact, as does his cultivation. Jiang Fan removed the restraints on his body, saying, "When I imprisoned you initially, I said I wouldn't kill you, giving you a chance to die on the battlefield. Today, I fulfill my promise." Xuanyi Master gazed complexly at Jiang Fan. The esteemed Taoist leader of Sanking Mountain was imprisoned by Jiang Fan, at first filled with resentment towards Jiang Fan. But upon witnessing Jiang Fan in the heavenly realm, willingly staying behind to save Xingyuan Venerable, risking a battle with Wu Gu and the 5-star giant king, deep down he respected him. This is a man who brings both hate and respect to him and Sanking Mountain. He shook his arms and said coolly, "It's not only you who can kill ancient giants. Sanking Mountain can too." Then he turned to join the Sanking Mountain crowd, causing a small uproar. Lastly, Jiang Fan looked at the old woman sleeping soundly on the ground. She too belonged to Sanking Mountain. It was Senior Feng, one of the 4-9 aperture nascent souls of Sanking Mountain. She cultivates the path of slumbering. Once madness erupts, she plunges nearby creatures into sleep. Jiang Fan thought for a moment and decided to keep her by his side. Her madness is troublesome, indiscriminate of friend or foe. Jiang Fan, bearing the blood of the sage and nascent soul injury, is unaffected by her influence. So he placed her back into the Space Mirror. "Hugh," Jiang Fan exhaled deeply. Thus all preparations for the ancient giants have been realized, awaiting only the ancient giants' arrival. At this moment, the great wine sacrifice flew through the sky, joined by Bai Xin, Six-Path Masters, and other members of the Kinshin Bureau. Great Wine Sacrifice looked around the crowd, bowed deeply to everyone, his voice solemn and poignant. "Taikang State, I entrust it to all of you." The crowd was touched, bowing in return. Everyone understood the great battle is here. Great wine sacrifice bowed for a long time, rising slowly, loosely waving the horsetail whisk towards the direction of the Kinshin Bureau. Instantly, a vast space radiation swept forth from the direction of the Kinshin Bureau. The state-level teleportation array was closed. This means Taikang State will not receive any external aid. They have no retreat, only to fight. Everyone stared at the black light pillar in the forbidden land reaching the sky. Jiang Fan couldn't help but take a deep breath, fixedly gazing at the connecting sky-black pillar. The whole scene became quiet, like the calm before a storm. Heavenly realm, Black Sun Royal Court. Over 1,000 adult ancient giants stand neatly in front of the 5-star Giant King's tent. They bore new wolf fang clubs and had multiple blood-stained bags hanging from their waists. Inside were the corpses of the Usura clan from the heavenly realm. This was their rations for the expedition to Central Earth. After consuming these, it's the turn of Central Earth's creatures. Also standing outside the tent was Green Pearl. She lowered her head, anxious, lips pressed tight, waiting for the 5-star Giant King's punishment. Even if she doesn't die, a sentence of death seems inescapable. Perhaps she'll be thrown into the blood pool and transformed into the Giant King. She held up a head, speaking lowly. Reporting to the Black Sun King, the subordinate has successfully slain Venerate Zinni. This is his head. Having spoken, she dared not breathe heavily, waiting quietly for the 5-star Giant King's decision. Based on intuition, she sensed the tent emitting a pair of eyes. Such a piercing gaze, making her tremble uncontrollably, her body nearing collapse. Her heart beat rapidly. The 5-star Giant King indeed knows everything, preparing to kill her. Yet, while Green Pearl was panic-stricken, the tent's destructive gaze suddenly withdrew. A rough, calm voice gently spoke. "As long as you return." With a clatter, the tent was lifted, revealing the 30-zhang, golden-skinned giant with 5 stars on his forehead. He is the long-missed Black Sun Royal Court 5-star Giant King. His giant golden vertical eye looked calmly at Green Pearl, neither happy nor angry. Green Pearl's heart was in her throat, forced herself not to tremble. She respectfully presented the head. "Black Sun King, this is Venerate Zinni's head." The Black Sun King just glanced indifferently, saying, "That's the one who could move the connecting sky-black pillar. Dead is good indeed." As the words fell, the head shattered into a splash of blood, staining Green Pearl. This made Green Pearl's heart tremble, speaking, "Our heavenly realm's great threat has been resolved. Occupying the lower realm faces no obstacle." The Black Sun King looked at Green Pearl, speaking softly, "Thank you for your effort. Now, where does the connecting sky-black pillar connect in Central Earth?" Green Pearl secretly sighed relief. Great Wine Sacrifice had foreseen the Black Sun King would ask, thus told Green Pearl how to respond. Green Pearl truthfully replied, "Reporting to Black Sun King in the heart of Central Earth, the forbidden land of misfortune." The Black Sun King slightly narrowed his eyes, staring at Green Pearl for 3 breaths before softening his gaze. As expected, Taikang State will send the connecting sky-black pillar there, employing favorable terrain. He looked into the distance, his lips curling into a cruel smile. "Then I will accompany you for a good game." Green Pearl harbored silent doubts. Could it be that the Black Sun King knew of the existence of the Forbidden Land? Why is he so familiar with Taikang State? Green Pearl had personally visited Taikang State and only learned of its existence from the mouth of the Great Wine Sacrifice. "Green Pearl, you stay in the heavenly realm and guard the Black Sun Royal Court with the underaged clansmen." The Black Sun King ordered expressionlessly. Green Pearl opened her mouth. The Black Sun King had promised to return her soul once she brought back the head of Venerate Zinni. The words were on the tip of her tongue, but she still didn't dare to ask. Her intuition told her that the Black Sun King suspected her. "Yes, Black Sun King." Only then did the Black Sun King, with hands behind his back, sweep his gaze over the murderous ancient giants. Huge vertical eyes gleamed. 1,000 years have passed, and we can finally descend upon that legendary land again. There lies the freshest blood in the 3 realms, the most succulent meat, and the most cunning and powerful prey. You are fortunate to be born in this era, able to follow my lead, conquer Taikang State, and hunt the mightiest beings. This is your honor." The ancient giants raised their wolf fang clubs, and from their huge vertical eyes, greed and excitement burst forth. From their mouths came loud, resonant roars. "Follow the Black Sun King and conquer Taikang State. Follow the Black Sun King and conquer Taikang State. Follow the Black Sun King and conquer Taikang State." The escalating roars shook the royal court, dispersing the white clouds in the sky and trembling the entire world of the Black Sun royal court. At this moment, the hunting instinct ingrained in their souls was completely unleashed. The Black Sun King waved his hand. 9 ancient fierce beasts pulled an ancient war chariot, soaring through the clouds, kneeling before him. The Black Sun King boarded the chariot, raising his right hand high, waved gently towards the connecting sky-black pillar and shouted loudly, "Follow me, descend upon Taikang." Rumble. Over 1,000 ancient giants marched step by step behind the war chariot, majestically advancing. They were like mountains, making the earth rumble, smoke and dust covering the sky. The erupting murderous frenzy was earth-shattering. Even 10 giant kings could hardly match. Green Pearl watched them depart, a massive feeling of despair rising in her heart. "Jiang Fan, may the heavens protect you." Her mind already envisioned a bloody wasteland in Taikang State, a doomsday scene where human clan members were thrown into the mouths of ancient giants. Unless the heavens themselves appeared, she couldn't imagine how Taikang State could win. Swoosh! Suddenly, a strange figure slipped out from the armory. Green Pearl swiftly moved over and discovered a rat-eyed, lanky human clan youth, escaping while clutching a stone platform dense with yin qi. Under the Black Sun King's watchful eyes, a human clan member infiltrated the armory. How is that possible? Moreover, he stole the supreme treasure that could annihilate the ancient giants, right? She instinctively wanted to chase after him, but then reconsidered. Quietly scanning the surroundings, she noticed that the ancient giants guarding the tribe had not detected it. She stopped in her tracks, pretending to be unaware. Her peripheral vision fixed on the direction of the escape, a glimmer of hope reflected in her eyes. Good luck, hope this item brings a turning point to Taikang State. At the same time, in an abandoned village of the Usura clan, an old Usura with sharp eyes and a shrewd face was cornering a member of the Usura clan against the wall. "Chief Ming Yi, spare me." The old Usura was none other than the village chief of Black Cloud Village, Ming Yi. He tricked Jiang Fan and others into going to the Black Sun Royal Court's treasury, opened the secret chamber with thunder power, and then stole the bloodthirsty ghost eye. Since then, he disappeared. Ming Yi coldly said, "When you sacrificed hidden clansmen to the ancient giants, just seeking exemption from death in the Great Hunt, did you ever think you'd face this day?" He shook his head, spread his palm open, revealing a fierce, blood-colored eye. "Bloodthirsty ghost eye, just one last kind of Usura clan blood is missing. Let me use your blood to pave my way to becoming the Usura king." With a flick, the bloodthirsty ghost eye transformed into a blood-colored shadow, drilling into the opponent's chest. The Usura immediately let out a painful scream, but the screams didn't last long, because just 10 seconds later the opponent turned into a skeleton-like corpse. Not a drop of blood remained. Afterward, the bloodthirsty ghost eye emerged. Having absorbed 10 types of Usura blood, it gradually melted into a blood-colored crown, and then flew toward Ming Yi, Central Earth, Taikang State. Wild winds howled, yellow sand danced. Everyone's breathing grew tense, for above their heads the sky began to take on a faint reddish hue, as if a basin of blood had been poured into a clear pool. Moreover, as time passed, the sky grew increasingly red. This scene was not unfamiliar to them. A month ago, during the ancient giant's great hunt, heaven and earth produced such an anomaly. Now, it is Taikang State's turn. The ancient giants are already descending. The great wine sacrifice looked up at the sky, suddenly feeling something, raised his horsetail whisk and waved it at the Kankiong. In an instant, the Kankiong shattered with a crack. A surge of pure qi rushed in from the outside, coalescing into 9 scenes. Among them, one was precisely Taikang State's. It was the great wine sacrifice leading the masses, confronting the tribulation-forbidden land. The remaining 8 scenes were undoubtedly of the other 8 states. In them, Jiang Fan recognized some. He saw the great wilderness state, where the wine-loving female great wine sacrifice led a group of demon cultivators, surrounding the connecting sky-black pillar. He also saw Hunyuan State, where the promiscuous young female great wine sacrifice led Xingyuan Venerable and other Confucian practitioners, looking up at the connecting sky-black pillar. He also saw the ruined state's weepy great wine sacrifice, saw forgetful wild elder and Yue Mingzhu, saw the Star Mountain Lord, and saw Su Yining. He further saw the demon continent's cheerful great wine sacrifice, saw Golden Scale Venerate, and the 2 girls, Ling Shu and Liu Li. Besides this, he also saw Dan State's Vice Palace Master Yu, saw the Holy Spirit State's Ice Heart Venerate, saw Divine Weapon State. The only unclear scene belonged to one state, appearing hazy, indiscernible. It was Heavenly State, It's unclear why, but Heavenly State's information couldn't be captured. Yet this no longer mattered, for the connecting sky-black pillar in Great Wilderness State was vibrating intensely. Something was sliding down the connecting sky-black pillar, rapidly approaching the earth. The people of Great Wilderness State braced themselves as if confronting a great enemy. Wu Yu Venerable and Red Dust Venerable led by example, standing before all beings, their faces brimmed with gravitas. Suddenly, a gush of blood rain cascaded down the connecting sky-black pillar, coagulating into a puddle of blood. Next, the blood swiftly congealed, becoming a terrifying giant 20 feet tall with pale green skin and 3 blood-red stars on the forehead. This was the 3-star giant king. He spread his arms, greedily inhaling the air of Central Earth. In his huge vertical eyes, excitement surged, and he howled towards the sky with bone-shaking intensity. "Central Earth, I have finally arrived." The demonic cultivators of the Great Wilderness State constricted their pupils sharply. Looking up at the giant king, 20 zhang tall, like a mountain, their breaths tightened and their bodies trembled. The legendary giants, after 1,000 years, have descended upon the lands of Central Earth once again. Even though they had seen the images Jiang Fan sent back from the heavenly realm, witnessing the giants. But facing them directly, the overwhelming sense of oppression, the savage aura, couldn't be conveyed through images. All those present in the nascent soul realm felt a sense of fear. Some young martial artists who had just broken through to the nascent soul realm trembled in their legs. Some even wet their pants. They were all nascent soul cultivators who had survived heavenly tribulations, narrowly escaping death to break their shackles. They were supposed to have resilient hearts, fearing nothing. However, in the face of the giant king, they were no different from ordinary creatures. Fortunately, the venerate ones of the Great Wilderness State were also present. Having weathered the hardships of divinity transformation, their hearts were as firm as rocks, fearless. Wu Yu Venerable shouted loudly, "What are you afraid of? We demonic cultivators live by those who follow me prosper, those who oppose me perish, and act according to our desires, unfettered by the heavens and earth. To fear mere ancient giants, why bother following the demon path at all?" His wolf eyes, sinister and fierce, glared at the 3-star giant king. "Seeing as you dared to come first, you must be ready for your corpse to be scattered." The domain at the back of his head launched an invisible ripple sweeping forth. The 3-star giant king chuckled, his shoulders shrugged. Heh. To think that one in the heavenly human second decline dares to strike at the 3-star giant king. Interesting, much more spirited than those Usura clan cowards who lost their will to resist. This, indeed, has the thrill of the hunt. Watching the approaching domain, he clasped his hands behind his back, a wicked grin on his face, and didn't move, allowing the domain to sweep into his body. The result was, the domain entered him like a mud bull into the sea, having no effect on the 3-star giant king. "Hee, you know nothing about us giants. Ancient giants are collections of greed and violent negative emotions. Their desire to devour is endless. How could just one domain make them lose their desires, ready to be slaughtered? Considering your commendable bravery, I've decided to make you my first prey, to also make you the first person in the Great Wilderness State in a millennium to be eaten." The 3-star giant king wickedly smiled. In the next moment, his right foot tapped the ground. Boom, a muffled thunder rumbled through, and the 3-star giant king vanished from the spot. Wu Yu Venerable's face changed, swiftly activating the teleportation ability of the divinity transformation venerate. But in the next moment, he fell out of space, his body spraying blood. His body was cracked open with finger-thick fissures, his chest caved in with a fist imprint, and all his bones were broken. Blood like crushed tomato juice sprayed out along the cracks. In an instant, his body was smashed apart. But that was not the end. A huge pale golden foot stomped down with a trajectory too fast to catch, slamming Wu Yu Venerable onto the ground. The 3-star giant king's massive form finally became visible. With his arms folded across his chest, he looked down, his giant vertical eye filled with ridicule. "Even those of your human clan in the heavenly human 3 declines would barely survive against me. Let alone you, a mere heavenly human 2nd decline." His lips curled in a cruel arc as the veins on his foot tensed, exerting sudden force. Die, poof! Wu Yu Venerable was crushed to pieces on the spot, turning into a spray of blood. However, instead of mocking, the 3-star giant king's cruel smile faded, and his vertical eye abruptly contracted. To their surprise, the sprayed blood reformed into a human shape. Wu Yu Venerable was there. The 3-star giant king squinted, his voice cold, Did you copy my origin? When he first appeared, he was formed by coagulating blood rain into human shape. This was his origin power. Unexpectedly, Wu Yu Venerable had somehow used a secret technique to replicate his origin. Wu Yu Venerable, his face pale, clutching his cracked chest, snorted, "Three-star Giant King, is that all you've got?" The three-star Giant King's eyes flashed coldly. "Nothing more than some extra work on my part." His mouth opened, spitting out a crimson long tongue, cutting through space, leaving a faint black void trail. In the next instant, Wu Yu Venerable was bound before he could even react. Besides the origin and invincible physique, the long tongue was also a core ability of the ancient giants. The three-star Giant King said harshly, "Time to hit the road." With a flick of his tongue, he intended to swallow Wu Yu Venerable alive. But suddenly the three-star Giant King's body swayed, his gaze turned dazed. His legs staggered involuntarily, and his pale, golden face flushed red. What have you done?" The three-star Giant King's movements became unsteady, and even his speech slurred as if he were drunk. Wu Yu Venerable wiped the blood from his lips, laughing loudly, "Ha ha ha! Taste my domain once more." The three-star Giant King shuddered in fear, feeling inside his body. The domain that should have vanished like a mud bull into the sea had a trace remaining. No, it wasn't a domain. It was a law, the drunken law. His expression transformed with shock, exclaiming, "It's your great wine sacrifice law." Ah, damnation! How could Wu Yu Venerable rush to his death rashly? Would the great wine sacrifice not provide the divinity transformation venerables with a fallback, knowing the great wilderness state couldn't win? This was the moment Wu Yu Venerable awaited. Once the drunken law activated, the three-star Giant King lost his combat strength. He spat out a sinister black blade wrapped in demonic chi, an unmistakable top-grade spiritual artifact long blade. He slashed fiercely, severing the tongue binding him. Clutching the long blade, he teleported above the three-star Giant King's head, slashing out a terrifying blade or 1,000 zhang long. The three-star Giant King, both angry and shocked, clumsily stretched out his hand in an attempt to block the blade aura. With a soft pop, the blade aura dropped straight down, neatly severing the 5 fingers of his right hand. "Those who offend my great wilderness state will end in blood." Wu Yu Venerable shouted, continuing his slashing. Poof! The 1,000 zhang blade aura cleaved into the three-star Giant King's skull. "Ah! Stop it!" The three-star Giant King let out a piercing scream of agony, the 3 blood-colored stars on his forehead spinning rapidly. His body, along with his head, rapidly melted into blood. Wu Yu Venerable wouldn't give him any chance. "Die!" He gritted his teeth, slashing down fiercely with his long blade. Before the head had completely turned to blood, he slashed it in 2. Ah! A sudden, curtailed scream shockingly echoed across the sky. The three-star Giant King's head was split in half, brain matter and blood sprayed like a fountain. But that wasn't enough to kill him. The Giant King's vitality was extraordinarily strong, able to regenerate even from a drop of blood. To kill them, the stars needed to be destroyed. Wu Yu Venerable's eyes shone like electric light, quickly locking onto the 3 stars, grabbing them into his palm. Without any hesitation, his palm erupted with overpowering demonic chi. Dong, but just then, a terrifyingly detached voice, causing the entire great wilderness state to tremble, came suddenly from behind Wu Yu Venerable. "Put it down." It wasn't a threat, but a command. Wu Yu Venerable's body jolted, turning to look. Behind him stood an imposing giant, 30 zhang tall, all in golden brilliance. In its brow, 5 black stars. This is the 5-star Giant King. When did he arrive, so unnoticed? Upon sensing the residual origin of an invisible presence, Wu Yu Venerable understood. The 5-star Giant King of the Eternal Night Royal Court over the great wilderness state, his origin is invisibility. The arrival of the 3-star Giant King was to test on behalf of the 5-star Giant King, whether there were any beings or magic artifacts around that could threaten him. Witnessing Wu Yu Venerable struggle with life and death against the 3-star Giant King, with not many powerful means, only then did the Eternal Night King reveal himself. He looked down at Wu Yu Venerable with a faint expression, speaking in the most casual tone while giving the most imperative command. Wu Yu Venerable's body trembled greatly. At such a close distance, every word of the Eternal Night King struck him like a thunderbolt. His already riddled body emitted creaking sounds of unbearable strain. His knees bent continuously, his internal organs melting rapidly. With just a thought from the Eternal Night King, Wu Yu Venerable would turn to dust. Even his soul would not escape. This was the power of a five-star giant king. If Wu Yu Venerable let go of the original star in his hand, he might still find it hard to escape death. But if he didn't, he would surely die. A stream of bloody water gushed from the wound on the top of his head. It flowed over his forehead, dripping down along his brow bone into his eyes, blurring his vision. A hesitation flashed through his heart. Facing true death, who can truly be fearless? However, when he looked up, he saw the cultivators of the great wilderness state. He saw faces full of despair and fear and pairs of dim eyes without hope. Through the filter of blood, they seemed like beings living in hell. The hesitation in Wu Yu Venerable's heart dissipated. He wanted to give the great wilderness state and all beings of the Central Earth 9 provinces who were watching them a glimmer of hope. That was to let them know the giants are not invincible. The demonic chi in his hand instantly erupted. The 3 original stars shattered into powder on the spot. A sorrowful wailing of souls floated from the 3 original stars. The golden vertical eye of the 5-star giant king flashed with a cold hue. A terrifying pressure pressed down instantly. Wu Yu Venerable, with a face full of blood, raised a smile. "Great wilderness state, it's up to you now." The next moment, with a muffled bang, Wu Yu Venerable turned into flying blood and mud on the spot, not even sparing his soul. He turned into soul fragments, scattering between heaven and earth. The demon cultivators of the great wilderness state were stunned. Wu Yu Venerable fell. That most ferocious demon head used his life to take down a 3-star giant king. All to boost their morale, just to create a bit of hope for them. Why? Are they demon cultivators, not all selfish, only caring about themselves, those bastards? Why would he go to such lengths for everyone? Tears welled up in the crystal eyes of Red Dust Venerable, her red lips tightly pursed. "Damn thing, what are you showing off for? You died, leaving the great wilderness state to me alone." Droplets of tears rolled down with the gradual trembling of her delicate body. Echoing in her ears were Wu Yu Venerable's last words before death. "Central Earth, it's up to you." She clenched her fists, with rage and killing intent flooding her reddened eyes. "You beasts!" Her divine ring at the back of her head shook hugely, her domain fully unleashed. Numerous fragrance pouches in her arms flew high into the sky, releasing one after another. She intended to fight the 5-star giant king to the death. Equally shocked and inspired were the many demon cultivators. With eyes full of sorrow and anger, they looked at the back of Red Dust Venerable, launching their domains, drawing their magic artifacts. One indignant roar over another. "Damn giants! Killing one without losing, killing a pair is gain. Isn't it just death? I'm not afraid. Kill, no cowards in our great wilderness state." At first, only a few sporadic roars were heard. Then, like sparks scattered on the prairie, igniting several patches. Eventually, it blazed through the entire world. The chaotic and furious roar reverberated across the sky, earth-shattering. The grand and mighty demon cultivators were like a flood that never turned back. That killing intent, that momentum, that determination to prefer death over subjugation, united as one. Even the eternal Night King was slightly touched. Are these the races that have fought my ancient giant lineage for 10,000 years? Respectable, yet also pitiful, as the words fell. Behind him, the connecting sky-black pillar descended with giant kings, each 20 zhang tall, hitting the earth with shakes. Ancient giants, each 10 zhang tall, descended like raindrops, emitting thunderous dense thuds, raising boundless dust, blotting out the sky and the sun. Taking state. People watched this scene, an indescribable emotion rising in their hearts, whether tragic, angry, or with a sense of recklessness. Liang Feiyan, eyes red, clenched her fists, looking up in anger at the connecting sky-black pillar. "You bastards! Why don't you damn well come down faster? I'm risking it all today." Wu Yu Venerable, with a single line, "Central Earth, it's up to you," ignited the fighting spirit of all martial artists in Central Earth, expelling their fear of ancient giants. With his life, he left Central Earth not just having killed a 3-star giant king, but gave everyone a spark that could ignite a prairie fire. Jiang Fan watched the projection of the great wilderness state, feelings surging within, unable to calm. Wu Yu Venerable, the savage demon with a fierce impression from their first meeting. He, unexpectedly, was the first soul to fall in the war against the ancient giants. The last time they met, it was when Jiang Fan was attacked and faced a life crisis by the 2-star giant king. At that time, Wu Yu Venerable unexpectedly arrived, driving away the 2-star giant king. He didn't even have time to say thank you. Now there was no chance to say it. "Wu Yu Venerable?" Jiang Fan silently recited his name in his heart. He slowly turned, looking again at the connecting sky-black pillar, his gaze even colder. All ancient giants deserve death. At this moment, the 9 pictures in the sky changed again. It was Dan's state. A terrifying ancient giant descended from their connecting sky-black pillar. Divine weapon state, the ancient giants have descended too. Holy Spirit state arrived. Returning ruin state appeared. Hunyuan state, demon continent came too. Central Earth 9 provinces, 7 have already fallen into chaos. Now only the heavenly state, which cannot receive messages, remains, and the Taikang state where they are. Buzz with a tremble, Taikang state's connecting sky-black pillar shook violently. The sky was already as red as blood spilled. Giants of the Black Sun Royal Court have arrived. Bang! Suddenly the ground violently shook. A 20-Jiang giant crashed down into the forbidden land like a meteor. His physique was extremely strong, far surpassing ordinary giant kings. The ruins that had persisted for thousands of years in that forbidden land, under the impact of his landing, totally turned to powder, shaking into all directions. Jiang Fan and the people of Taikang State all recognized him, because this was the first giant king Jiang Fan met in the heavenly realm, Stone Giant King.